Hello, friends and enemies, heroes and villains. Welcome to Epic Realms, and thank you so much, Dungeon Scrawlers, for the raid. Welcome in, everybody. Dungeon Scrawlers is an amazing stream, amazing group of people, amazing group of authors. Go and check them out. Aaron Evans, Rhiannon Held, Eric Scott to Be, Yang Wang, so many awesome people over there. Go and check out Dungeon Scrawlers, everybody who has been in here. Those of you who are here now, thank you so much. We're doing a show called Off the Pod. It's not a podcast, sort of podcast. It's sort of a podcast where we do podcast things, but it's not on podcast. I am joined by the one and only Michelle Franklin. Hi.
Clive Barker's Jericho by Clive Barker.
Right? For those that don't know, Michelle Franklin is an amazing author, has done all kinds of fun work, and I'm addicted to her social media stuff. So, and I know many of you are. So is it a podcast? Sort of it's a sort of a podcast, but not really a podcast.
Not really a podcast. It's a show podcast light.
Right, podcast light. So every 20 seconds the topic changes. We talk about whatever. It's completely interactive.
20 seconds. What?
20 minutes. I say that every time, I swear to God. And so this is how the show goes. We just what happens? Who knows? Who knows what happens? It's ridiculousness. Last time you were on, you were promoting Dragons Don't Celebrate
Passover. Yeah, I actually have it right here for those of you watching. There you go. Because last time I did not have it. I don't think I had it in my hand.
Well, last time it was a podcast, so only half of the people would have been able to see it anyhow. Not even half. But...
So if you are watching, great. If you are one of those people who cannot watch, I am holding dragons.
Thanks.
Don't celebrate Passover, which has a red cover and a dragon on it making matzah. That's all. And the whole book is about dragons and how they don't celebrate Passover, but they're very good at it, just like the werewolves who don't celebrate Hanukkah.
Yeah.
And now we have just came out last month was vampires don't observe Shabbos.
There you go. It's awesome. So much fun. Dragons. Yes, Blind GM. Dragons. I was telling Michelle earlier about the accent and the dragon story and the dagger story and us Minnesotans being made fun of for that accent. So
we have the same thing here. It's essentially the Midwest, right? So any parts of Alberta and Saskatchewan also they say bagel or it's weird. They'll say bag for bag, but then they say bagel for bagel. It's mental and it's all wrong.
It is. It's all wrong. It's ridiculousness. And you're not the only guest here, right? You're not the only guest with us. There's other guests.
Yes.
We have other guests.
That's true. They even put on their bow ties. So here we have Fuji-san is here, and his best friend Duckbert showed up with his bow tie. You can see Fuji-san put on his fall bow tie. That's what he's wearing. Yeah. Hey Nick, how you doing?
Hi, how's it going?
Oh my God, me got such a great list for you.
Yeah, there's babes in the chat already. Bentley's here. You saw Bentley and Twitter, didn't you?
Hi Bentley, how you doing? You good? How was the Red Fair? It's fun?
It was fun. There were lots of babes.
What's your dress as?
A pirate. I'm a pirate.
But like a sexy pirate though?
Oh yeah. That was my job when I worked there. My job was to be a sexy pirate. That was my job, my goal.
Were you a boot babe?
I mean, what's that mean?
A boot babe? Somebody who stands at the booth and sells stuff.
Oh, no. I was a character. I was an entertainer.
I mean, that's what booth babes do. They entertain. They juggle a bit.
But I wasn't selling anything. I wasn't selling anything at a booth. I was just out there on the street. I was a street.
You sell
character.
Yourself.
Yeah,
show them the card. Show them the card.
But I wasn't. Okay. I wasn't. You got a card? You have a card? Sell yourself.
No, he does. He has. So he sells. So this is his business card for those who cannot see. I'll read it. It says, Fuji-san, mountain myth legend, professional enthusiast, hot dates, great rates. And there he is in the middle of Hokusai himself.
Great rates. Oh
yeah, this image was actually made for me by my friend Mark from RKO Soup. And I said, oh, it's so good that I have to do a business card with it. I actually left that business card as a joke on our community board just to see if anybody would actually take it, and it was gone.
That's funny.
somebody actually took. There's no number on it, but somebody actually took it.
Bentley says I'm doing great, Fuji-san.
Bentley says you look great with your tie.
Yeah.
Thank you. Me got a whole fashion line made by Miss Ashley.
No.
Miss Ashley is his teacher who makes all of his bow ties for him.
Nice.
My friend Ashley, she taught in Japan for about 6 years, and so she picked him up. He's limited edition putting Fuji-san from Japan. And so she was giving away her stuff because she's here now permanently in a permanent teaching position. So she said, I have all these like limited edition Japanese plushies. Does anybody want one? And I saw the Fuji-san and I went, oh, why are you getting rid of this? His smile is so stupid. It's amazing. And she just said, I have no use for these. And I went, oh, I have a use for this one. Because, you know, when you have to do, and you're contractually obligated to do social media every day, you have to think of material to do. And I was just doing stuff where I was thinking, oh God, all right, let's talk about books. Let's talk about, you know, games. Let's talk about and it's just getting so boring. I couldn't even just for like 20 seconds at a time, just coming up with material. And ask any author, you know, who has to keep TikTok now, where they just go, what the heck do I do every day? I don't know. And so we started doing words, and so now he is language assistant Fuji-san. That's what he is.
Well, and he helps keep the entertainment. So it's like you have like this is what I'm going to do, and then he just interjects with something ridiculous that's like, what's he going to say next, sort of thing.
Yeah, so. Exactly. Or sometimes he'll just go, nobody cares, look at my hat.
Right. Oh, Darius podcast. I don't know the reference. Do you know? Oh, Darius.
No, I don't know. No, I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, Fuji-san does like you better. That's right. By definition, I mean, he doesn't discriminate, but he absolutely. Blind GM wants you to tell the story of why you say dragons.
We did like a podcast and a long time ago, and somebody was listening to us, or maybe it was on a stream. I don't remember. It was before streaming, but yeah, we were role playing, tabletop role playing. And we kept saying it, and this other person didn't know. They're like, "What's a dragon? What's a dragon? I don't know what that is." Like, you know, a dragon. Roar, breathes fire. Oh, a dragon. Or however it's supposed to be pronounced.
Dragon, yeah, exactly.
Like, no, dragon. And so
the author in me cringes, but the linguist in me goes, ooh, where are you from? This is fun. I love playing Henry Higgins. That's always my favorite, trying to figure out where people are from, especially if they have parents who are from different places as well. It's always very interesting to me to hear all their different like dialectal changes and their the different vowel phonemes.
Right.
That's
something I've talked about with some audiobook readers. Is they have to narrow in. Okay, well, there's Scotland, but there's like 20 different dialects of Scotland. So
there's so much. There's Shetland alone has like 10 different dialects on it. And that's or Orkney or something like, as well, you have so many different languages that you can play with because they have English, Scottish English. You have somebody like from Edinburgh who barely has an accent, and then you have somebody from Glasgow who speaks Glaswegian, which is a very specific dialect. And then there's Scots, which is a whole other language, which is completely unintelligible, which branched off from Middle English. So whenever you hear people going, I don't understand Scottish people, because that's a different language, honey.
Right.
Yeah, 1.5 million people speak Scots, which is, you're not supposed to understand it. So, you can kind of get things. You can see where the Germanic influences, you can see where the Norwegian influences, but in general, it is a different language that branched off from Middle English. So that doesn't have the same vowel sounds, didn't have the same vowel shifts. So I can imagine for people, let's say, who are like me, let's say you live mid-Atlantic or Canadian or mid-American, who then go, or the thing that gets me really badly is when people say, do an Irish accent, you go, where from?
Yeah.
And this is when I was playing Assassin's Creed Rogue, and you have the main character doing like a 1980s Dublin accent. You just go, oh God, like just one dialectal coach. That's all it would have taken, please. Anything rather than this. And he was good. He was good at what he was doing. But when you're supposed to be, I think it's like 1780 something.
Yeah.
And he's supposed to be from like the west of Ireland. I'm going, I can't with this. This is so bad.
You can't. That's when you're like, I wish I didn't know. I wish I could just turn it off.
Yes. I wish I could turn it off. I really do. As I say, I love the broad spectrum of accents and dialects and things like that. But when you are supposed to be doing a historical thing, and it is not the historical thing, do like what the BBC does, where you have the Roman Empire, but everybody speaks in received pronunciation. That's fine, because we understand that they're all actors and they're reenacting certain things. That's okay, but don't tell me, that this is somebody who's supposed to be from, let's say, Perth, and then you end up having somebody who's from like the south of England going, "This is Scottish, right?" You go, It was like hearing like I hate to bring this up, but hearing the was it the newfangled the newfangled hobbits, was it not the Proud Feet? That's in the original one, the one that's in the Rings of Power, and then me trying to sitting there going, oh God, who decided on this accent? It's so I can't, and I every time they were on, I just went mute.
Right. We got somebody says the Higgins reference for the win.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Oh, I love it. Oh, you kidding? We always joke about that because I love we were listening to, speaking of, because we were talking about Baldur's Gate before, Raphael, the actor who plays him, is also a brilliant audiobook reader. He's because he has that gorgeous
Right.
liquid gold rich voice. And he said that he couldn't sing, so he did like a Henry Higgins thing for his singing part that he had to do.
Okay.
And every time he comes up, all I think of is, why can't a woman be more like a man?
A lot of people talking linguistics history is cool. We'll have to do another off the pod where we just talk about linguistics and language, because I'll just I'll just say something and then just let you go on for a little while, and we can fill in the 20 minutes there. It'll be pretty good.
You know, it's fun. People think because I do like I do, my morning posts are always linguistics, and then the afternoon posts are always like video games or manga or like nerdy stuff. And in the morning, so I have people who ask me questions, and so today, like, somebody asked me the history of Dude, and I actually do know the history of Dude, which came from, Dude Ranches and that kind of thing. But I did not know, because I knew it came probably from Doodle, as in Yankee Doodle. I did not know that Doodle probably came from I think it's 17th century French word that meant dick.
Oh, that's going to be a great one for you to do.
Yeah, and so I did that one. But people ask me these things thinking that I know, every word from every language. People always, when you study linguistics, people always ask you, how many languages do you speak? And you go, that's not how this works.
Right.
Yes, I do. Yes, I do speak French. Yes, I do know a little bit of Germanic languages, but I don't speak them to any fluent capacity.
Yeah, you just know
really
the history of,
yes,
the history.
Yeah, exactly. Frig is not just a technical way of saying, yes, that's correct. Yeah, there's a wonderful history of even things like the word Shazbot, which obviously was made up by the brilliant Robin Williams, but he got that a little bit from somewhere, because his family was Scottish, and he incorporated a lot of Scots words that he used to hear his family say into certain like made up words that he kind of cobbled together. So there is a whole history of that. Try to look at that. Oh, so Welsh language. Well, here's the thing with the Welsh language.
Uh-oh.
It's not as I always say to people whenever they look at Irish names and they go, I don't understand how to pronounce this. And I go, that's because you're thinking of it with an English brain.
Accent, yeah.
Irish in general as a language is perfectly phonetic, has much less exceptions than English does. English is a nightmare. Whereas Irish, even though it's obviously gone through 3 iterations since 1900, since 900, it's perfectly phonetic. So once you learn Irish orthography, you will know how to say, the word Aoife or pronounce the name Siobhan or whatever it is. And that's it. There's no difference. Whereas if you look at my name, Michelle, how many there's Michelle, Michelle, if you're from here, Michelle, some people use this, the schwa, but other people, it's spelled like 600 different ways, pronounced 10 different ways. Irish, if you look at the name, it's always that. So same thing with Welsh. Once you learn Welsh orthography, you will never be confused. If you want to say, maybe you can't get the double L dash sound properly, think of the word McClellan. McClellan. There, you're good. Just breathe into it a bit. You're good. But Welsh is perfectly phonetic. No issue.
Lyric says, I heard they had to hire someone who spoke 4 languages because Robin Williams kept trying to sneak foreign swear words into the script. I read that as well. I have all. I don't know whether it's true or not because I wasn't there.
It is true, yeah. Especially Scott's sweary words. He did, yeah. He always did, because he knew he would just get by the censors. I mean, also, we were talking. Somebody had asked me about the history of the word spooky, and obviously in the States there's some difficult racist connotations in there. But very specifically from a very specific time period, specifically from around 1945 to about the 70s. And then it obviously fell out of favor because nobody was talking about the specific regiment of people who that word was talking about anymore, because I had to do something with pilots in the 1940s. And very obviously, people born nowadays don't know that at all,
No.
because you see
Heck, I didn't even know that.
Oh,
until,
you okay?
yeah,
So
I mean, I knew it a couple, like a year or two ago.
okay.
It was brought to my attention. I was like, well, what word do I use? That's a fun for the, you know, things. It only takes a little bit to screw up to make one word a bad word, but you can never like go back and make it a good word again.
Well, so they use it in Back to the Future. And when I was a kid, Back to the Future 1 was one of my favorite films. 1 and 3, the best. Let's not talk about 2. But in the first film, he does say it. He does say it to one of the band members at the Enchantment Under the Sea dance. And as a kid, I just thought he meant that he had scared him.
Yeah.
That's
it.
Because he came out of the car and he said, "Beat it. This doesn't concern you." And I thought that meant that he was afraid of him. I had no idea until I was in my 20s.
I didn't even know until just now when you said that. I was like,
yeah.
Oh.
Because it never passed the censor test. They never blotted it out when it was on television. So I didn't think it was a bad word. Everybody, and nowadays, spooktacular, everybody knows the word spooky. And it just comes from the Dutch word spook, which means ghost.
Yeah.
That's it. So if you just say that, your next connection goes, well, how did it become that doesn't make any sense at all? And you go, you're right, it doesn't make any sense. It did in the context of the day. It doesn't anymore, which is why it's kind of okay. Don't call somebody that, but using the adjective is totally fine. And now you see it everywhere, and they're like spook extravaganza, spooktacular, and all this,
right.
And all the Spirit Halloween stuff as well. It was a very specific region of the American South, and also parts of the West. If you come from where I did, nobody ever used that. That's ridiculous.
Right.
Scots words I know most likely from Terry Pratchett works. Yes, especially We Free Men. Good. He did use the word Kelda a lot, which is good.
What does that mean?
It means a young woman, a young marriageable woman. If you've ever read, wait a minute, have you ever read We Free Men? Nick, get off the show. Get off the show. Get out of here. If you haven't read, if you want to learn a little bit about Scots specifically, I mean, he wrote the characters in Broad Scots, which we could say is more of like a very specific Scottish English dialect. But you have a bright future. Yes. So if you're wondering about Scots, actually, I don't recommend that you give Joanne any money, but if you want to read the Scots version of Harry Potter, it's very well translated and very well done. Also, Lenny Penny, who I don't know her real name, but she is a Scottish poet who does poems in Scots, and she's all over. It's that lovely lady with the long red hair, but she does like Scots word of the day.
Yeah, I follow her. I love her stuff.
Yeah, she's
especially when she does the fake American accent and pretends like she's American and throws everybody off. They're like, "Wait, you're really American? You lied to me!" And she's like, "You idiots."
she's great.
Yeah,
it's great. Somebody accused her the other day of being Irish, and she just went, just because she's a redhead. Historically, there have been more per capita, more redheads in Scotland and Norway than there are in Ireland. Most people in Ireland have dark red hair or brown hair with light eyes because of the whole Iberian Peninsula connection. Yeah. But anyway, that's a whole.
That being said, let's start. Let's do more yelling at Epic, please. No, more yelling at Epic. By the way, guys, all alerts are on. Things are running. There are things here. I'm still doing spicy chips. If we hit a hype train, Fuji-san will tell us his babe tier list.
Yes, he actually made his top 10 waifu list.
There you go.
So if you want to know, he will tell you. Just remind me, and he'll come out and he'll give you his list in no particular order.
So let's start this timer. Video games. What video games are you playing right now? Are you still playing?
We're in Act 3 of Baldur's Gate. Okay. We accidentally got to the end by killing Redacted too early.
No.
Yeah, and it got to the end, and I went, "Oh, was I supposed to see this? Oh no." And so save scum and go back. And so I've just been save scumming through the entire Act 3. So there's a part where obviously there's some story aspect that happens with Will. And we let Redacted unalive himself, and so that obviously changed things. So again, going back, we do that. I've heard a lot of people saying things like, "Oh, Act 3 is very short in comparison to the other acts," and I went,
Just depends on the
"What
decisions you
did
make.
did you miss half the game? I don't understand." I mean, I know that there are a lot of people who will go through once just to see, just as a blind run, and then they'll go back and then do the whole thing again and then again. I
I
like to
will
get
probably do that just because I didn't play the character I wanted because I really needed that fire sword. It's like I'm gonna make
wait a
it a
minute,
character just for that.
but it's so easy. Yeah, it's so easy to get that. There are many ways you can get that.
But I didn't do it the first. I got through that, and then I was like, wait,
Oh,
I can get a flaming sword. Okay, I'm gonna make
mm-hmm.
it again. I'm gonna play again because I just ran by the guy. I was just like, okay, I need to get out. I don't want to fight a demon. I don't want to do
Yeah,
any.
you
I
don't
don't
have
want to
to.
like. I'm just gonna get out. And then afterwards, I was like, wait, I can get that sword.
Yeah, just use hold on them,
Yeah.
and you can grab it from.
Did you
There are
say
other
hold?
ways
Did
to
you say
grab it.
hold again? Did you say hold again?
Yeah.
If you know, you know. If you know, you know.
You know what's funny is sometimes I do it on purpose because the way that TikTok kids listen, if you're doing any type of algorithm, the easiest way is just to say something wrong and then to let people argue amongst themselves in the chat.
Yeah.
Because obviously not this one, because Twitch doesn't work that way. But for TikTok, for Twitter, all you have to do is get people to argue amongst themselves in the chat, and then suddenly
Yeah,
you've
because
got
they're interacting.
500.
They're interacting with your thing. So yeah, that's why
Right.
people are like they'll post something wrong or they'll say something or there's so many of those of people like doing stupid things. They're like, I'm gonna make this meal of the day, and then it's like, what is this hot garbage you're making?
Just, and people, unfortunately, people watch that because it does get we are in the world of algorithms where there's nobody behind, there's nobody pulling the levers anymore. So now it's just whatever. So I know, yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I don't know if you know, but the Blind GM does his question and stitchable moment of the day, none of which I think I have ever written on because I don't have hot takes. I mean, honestly, my hot takes are things like Castlevania Symphony of the Night is the greatest game of all time. That's my hot take. And honestly, very few people will disagree with me because they're wrong. That's it. So, or things like,
I like the
Shadow of
Lords
the
of Shadow, the first one, not Lords of Shadow 2. Lords of Shadow 2 was a hot mess.
It got too much with the, I mean, again, orcs are our jam, really. So the more orcs the better. But yeah, the nemesis system just didn't work. It had a better battle system, worse nemesis system, because there were too many orcs, and they did that purposely so this way you could buy the extra orc packs. Now, however, if you just get because they realized people weren't in for that, now if you just get like the super special edition, you get everything in there. So the battle system was better and less floaty. But oh my goodness, I don't. It was just such a stark difference from 1 to 2. I mean, I have
Well,
the
the
other hot
story,
take.
like you're in the
Yeah.
future, modern day, as Castlevania, a modern cat. What? Oh,
Oh, I was gonna say, who liked Lords of Shadow too. Oh yeah, the Castlevania. Yeah, for some, oh, sorry. I thought you were talking about. My brain thought you were talking about Shadows of War.
no, no, I was talking about
No, that's why I
the.
said orcs, because he loved it. He loved it. She loved such a babe in the second one. Oh my god. Yeah, sorry, I thought you meant Shadows of War because it was the same thing. Yeah, oh, sorry, Lords of Shadow, yes, the Castlevania. The well, it's Kojima. Are we surprised? I mean, look, I like where he went with the story. I appreciate that it was very different from Lament of Innocence, which is okay. It was the first like real 3D Castlevania.
Yeah.
But it's a Kojima story. You gotta have some crazy shit from another dimension. Then you have to have, time travel in there somewhere. Then there has to be a character who's like running. There has to be
But
like a
it's
Shinra
Castlevania.
operation.
It's like I was gonna use Mario as as an analogy, and then I was like, that's a bad comparison.
Well, if you think, so I don't know, has anybody seen the new Castlevania series that's
I've
out Nocturne?
seen up to a point. I guess
Okay,
the
so
first season, like
okay,
the
so
first
no,
4 or
no
5 episodes.
spoilers, no spoilers, but in terms of the writing versus this series versus the previous series, you can see that again, they did it's like Lords of Shadow 1 and 2 thing. Still good, but very different in their approach. And some people are going, I don't like this there's too much, like what's going on in modern day? Why are we constantly going from another place to here, to here, to here, to here? Why do we have this person's backstory who we literally just met?
Yeah.
And then suddenly bang, all their backstory for 2 episodes. And then again, all their backstory. Again, not bad, but it doesn't, the pacing is kind of weird. The story doesn't flow very well. Still entertaining, but not like the first one where you actually had a story arc.
So don't watch the second part. Gotcha. Don't waste my time. Thanks for saving
but
me.
They got us at the end though. They got us at the end. So of Nocturne. So I was about to say I'm out, and then they got me in. Got me in. I mean, the character that I found the most interesting is Mizrach, and he's so cool because they didn't talk about his backstory. He has a lot of mystery behind him because it's a bit weird. It's supposed to be French Revolution, but then he's a crusader. It's weird, very strange. But but I won't say too much about him, but he's very cool. And I wanted to know more about him because they didn't spend 2 episodes, tons of exposition about him. And I think he's very interesting. He's a very interesting dynamic as a character. Okay. So all right, so there, Castlevania done. Next.
Okay, so if we go back to Baldur's Gate, because I've noticed this thing, and I wanted to do a whole series, but sometimes like when I play through it live, because I'm only playing it live here on the stream, I'm only playing Baldur's Gate. I'm not doing it on the side by myself. I'll do that on my second run through. But I'm constantly running across stuff. I'm like, what the heck is this? This doesn't make sense. Little clips, and I've done a couple videos of them. Have you run across a lot of those?
I saw some of your videos. There are things.
Like the windmill one is still my favorite.
There's a lot. That's because there's a lot of references, right? So, for example, a lot of people have been asking about like the Dribbles the Clown quest. Sorry, spoilers and all that stuff, but there's a part in Baldur's Gate where you get to a circus. There's a thing that happens with the clown, and then you have to find. And people are going, wait a minute, like we did the quest already. What the hell is this extra quest where you find his pieces? I don't understand. Like, what is the point of this? Especially since the reward is not super great. But considering that it's so hard to find some of his pieces, and so a lot of people are like, this is a One Piece reference, and I went, oh, okay, I get it. But I mean, I don't care. It's a quest.
But it's not like it's not like where it's like a cut scene and then they're there. I had one the other day. I was in an underground. I was at the Druid place, and one of the bears is sleeping right in the Druid's Grove, and he's sleeping on this big wooden platform in this internal building. And you go up and talk to him. You click on him and talk, and he's in the grove, in the grass, the trees in the background. He does his interaction, and then you go back, and he's like back in the. It's like. Couldn't you have just taken the 5 seconds to change the background when the scene changes and you're you're using the interaction from back there and he's not there anymore. He's over here.
Yeah, that's I think that's a bug specifically. I think that's a look at bug. There are a couple things like that where they just had some bugs that don't. It's not a game breaking or anything like that, but they just don't. As you say, they don't make sense.
Right.
I'm trying not to spoil. I mean, I know the game's been out for 2 months already, but there's some people who haven't seen things on their first playthrough. What did I do the other day? Oh yeah, there was like
some people who are still on Act 1 because they're only doing it on the show.
Exactly, or they're doing Act 1 and then they're going. Oh, I don't like where we ended up, so they're going back and doing it again. So I have people who are like, "How do you get Halcyon to join your party?" And I went, what do you mean? How do you just do the freaking story? And what do you mean? And he's like, well, I did the whole Grove thing, but then he didn't come to my camp. And I went, okay, that's weird. There are some people who are doing that, where there's a part where you get a specific redacted character, and then another character redacted comes to your camp, and depending on what happens, one of them gets kidnapped. And people are going, no, it's that person who gets kidnapped. And then it's another person going, no, that person. And then there are other people who are like, I don't know what anybody's talking about. because they did, that's whatever happened. Either those characters died, or they didn't have them in, or they had both of them in their party, so nothing happened. There's a lot of stuff that happens depending on who's at your camp, who's in your party.
Right.
Yeah, and exactly. See, this is what I love. I love
Snape kills Dumbledore. Now you don't have to give money to Rowling.
we all wish that had happened.
Hashtag spoilers. What were you gonna say?
Get out of here. So somebody said something to me the other day about like Lord of the Rings spoilers. And I went, get the heck out of here. That's 75 years spoiler. Go away. Don't come to me with that. My rule is, if you are on the internet and you are looking at things, you have to accept. And so I don't care personally about spoilers, because I am chronically online and I know I'm going to see stuff. So I don't care, because I like the journey. I like the journey of what I'm watching. I like the journey of the whole. So anyway, yeah, I don't care about video game spoilers. It doesn't matter to me. I'll get there when I get there, because especially if you're playing, let's say, something like Baldur's Gate or Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom, things where games, how you get there is up to you, and your whole journey is personal one. I don't care about, if I see the ending, doesn't
I keep
matter.
telling people they'll come in when I'm doing it, and they'll be like, I'm just going to throw up a lurk because I don't want spoilers. I'm like, there are so many decisions to make.
Yeah.
The odds of you getting the exact result that I have right here, even at this point, even in Act 1, is so ridiculously out of context. There is no way that you're like, yeah, you might get some of this stuff, but overall, like, other than major story points, you're not going to get the same story at all.
I have a friend who's doing her master's, and she said it's weird. She's listening to people play it, so she doesn't see it. But she said, I said, you're spoiling everything. She said, it's okay. To me, it's just like listening to people play D&D, and I know I'm going to play the game and get a completely different result, because I don't want to do the things that they're doing. And so the joy of something like Baldur's Gate that really tries to follow 5th edition to the letter is there are so many different ways. The same thing, back in the day, 7 years ago, when we were all playing Witcher, Witcher is the same. It doesn't, you can do the story any way you want. You can do every single side quest has 2 or 3 different ways to do it, right? So it doesn't really matter.
Right.
Hashtag Triss is best, Nick. Don't get me started on the Yennefer debate. Don't even get me started. That's a whole thing. Whenever I hear people say, "Oh no, the game wants you to go with Yennefer," and I'm like, "You did not read these books.
I did read.
You did not read these books.
Read the books. I haven't watched the show either. I need to watch.
Yeah.
The show.
Again, that's a sore point, because you have again, when a show, as I tell people all the time, when a show makes up its own lore, that's fine. That's great. Stick to the lore that you're making. And so when you have like The Witcher, like the first series, super great, so fun. Obviously, they followed the books a little bit more closely than the games, but they didn't do so badly. They did change a few things, but in a way where they all talked to each other and the characters were uniform and they stuck with their own lore. Episode 1, season 2, suddenly Yennefer's an elf, and you just go, we saw her at the farmstead with her parents. We saw that in season 1, that she is not an elf. And obviously in the books it does say that, but that's a separate lore aside. We're not talking about that. I'm just going, you couldn't even keep it from one season to another. You couldn't even keep it.
Right.
I'm going, all right, never mind. Oh, just don't. That's okay.
No internal consistency. There we go.
No, you saved
that would
yourself.
drive, if I saw that would drive me up a wall. That's my problem in role-playing games too. Like, this doesn't make sense because this happened here and this happened here and this happened here, and that timeline doesn't fit with what we're here. And then wibbly wobbly timey wimey. No, this is not. We're not role-playing Doctor Who. Damn it.
No. Same thing with I had a lot of issues with Rings of Power, but in general, within the same episode, they just didn't keep their own lore. So for example, episode 3, I'm spoiling this for you because we're whatever. They go to Numenor. And now obviously in the books that never happens. Galadriel never goes to, but again, that's fine. Not an issue with me. I understand different media, we're making up different lore. I get it. Within 20 minutes, you have the main character saying, "Oh yes, I remember when I was here. The elves built the city. Elrond built the city." She gets off the boat. "Where am I? I don't know where I am. I want to go home. This is terrible." They're like, "Okay, well, we know that you're going on a quest, so why don't we bring you to the Hall of Law?" "I don't know what the Hall of Law is. Where is that?" And then she has a fun little pony ride. And then when they get to the Hall of Law, she goes, "Oh yes, I remember when Elrond built this place with his brother." And I'm going, this is in 20 minutes.
Right.
20 minutes. And I'm going,
she just forgot. She just forgot a major part of her entire backstory. That's all. She just forgot. She took a hit to the head, or amnesia, or
same thing with the proto hobbits, where I mentioned them before. So their big thing was no one gets left behind, right? Because they're migrating. That's the whole point, is that this is the beginning of their migration, and they're going to go settle in the Shire and like the Hobbiton and all the surrounding lands, right? So the migration is really important to them, and they're going, no, we can't. No person gets left behind. And then what happens? Somebody breaks his leg. The first thing that happens is, "Leave that guy." Why? It's the same episode. Anyway, okay, next.
Do you have interest in playing Starfield? Have you started Starfield?
Here's the thing. I am not a Bethesda fan. It has nothing to do with their games in general. I have played Skyrim. Obviously, I played way back in the day. I played Morrowind. Oblivion was okay. I can't. Here, my two things. Number one, I have developed an issue where I can't play first person games anymore because I now have simulation sickness. I have sinuses that are stupid, and they're obstructed. So when I try to play something for more than 20 minutes, I'll suffer through it, but then I'll get a sinus headache. And I can't. Yeah, it really sucks, because there are first person games that I do want to play, like Cyberpunk, where I'll suffer through it for 20 minutes and I'm like, I can't, and then I have to put the controller down. It's a waste of time. I suffered through it for Wolfenstein because that was really good, and I played it in like 25-minute increments where I had the timer of like, oh, okay, vomit, and then put it aside for a bit and then come back to it. That I suffered. But so I know that in certain Bethesda games, especially like Skyrim, now you can play in third person. My issue with Skyrim is their main stories never make sense. For example, I'm about to ruin Skyrim for everybody.
Spoilers for a game that's 200 years old.
That's
but they've got
12 years
old. But they're re-releasing it next year, so.
Yeah, probably on whatever, on Switch 2 or whatever it is that comes out. So the first thing they tell you, VR 2, yeah, they tell you things like, oh, you are Dragonborn, and that you are the only one who can do the things that you can do in there. Everybody's in awe. And then suddenly you get to the temple with all the monks, and they can do all the things you can do, and they could do it better. But you're the one who is gonna go do the things. You go, what? Well, wait a minute. Wait, why are you giving me stupid Lydia, who's a dumbass? And why is it that there's a temple full of like 20 odd monks who can all do Fus Roda, and they're the ones teaching me about it, and yet
they can't come with to save the world?
Yeah. They're not doing it, or people just don't know about them. It just doesn't make any. Again, but here is the thing: shout louder than. I don't know if we can shout louder than. I don't know if we can shout louder than Dad sneeze, though. That is the loudest shout in the history of the world is Dad sneeze. The biggest issue that I have is that their main stories are just no consistency whatsoever. And that's fine, but I appreciate their sandbox aspect where you can go and do anything. So you don't have to do that main story. You can just go off and enjoy yourself, become a werewolf, make vampire minions, whatever you want to do. I appreciate that side very much. And I like that people can just F off and do that for 400 hours. But I need, when it comes to like having a coherent story, it's my problem with like Kingdoms of Amalur as well. And where the main story was just so desperately uninteresting and contradictory. And that I couldn't. I got, every time I played, I'm like, oh, this battle system is so much fun. Oh, what's that alert?
That means the time is up.
Okay, next.
But you can finish. You can finish whatever you were saying.
No, we're done. Go
in the middle here.
Fine.
We're done. That's it.
We're done. And next.
We should call this episode Michelle Ruins Everything. Hello, Identity Crisis. Welcome on in. What is the old man cough? Do I need to know what that reference is? Oh, that. Yeah. No, never mind. I don't need to.
No, there are different echelons of sound. Old man cough is one. Baby screaming is another, which is different from a 3-year-old screaming, which is somehow louder. And then, and then you have dad sneeze, which can move states.
Yep, I'm on that one.
Oh yeah, after you pass 40, the dad sneeze, it just develops within you. It's sort of like
I think I developed it way earlier. Somebody I used to work with used to do it when I was in my 20s. And then one day I was doing it as a joke. I knew I was gonna sneeze, and I was doing it as a joke to make fun of him, so I overdid it. And I was like, man, that felt really good. And then I've just always done it ever since. Unintentionally, just like, Asha! And I'm like, oh, that felt good.
I have a theory that it's somehow connected to like you touching the thermostat. If you touch the thermostat, suddenly you go.
Oh, dad.
Yeah, it's Fusro Dad. That's what it is, Fusro Dad.
How does Fuji-san sneeze?
Oh, well, I mean, technically he hasn't sneezed for 300 years because he hasn't erupted. I think it's 303 years that he hasn't erupted. It's because we got blue balls.
Oh,
we waiting for the right babe. Right? That's how it is, right? That's why dads do that sneeze because they got blue balls.
No comment.
No
comment. No comment.
Chat, back me up.
I don't think chat wants to back you up. Maybe not. Tell my partner that.
Yes, and now you know where the dad sneeze come from. It's a build-up. It's a cultivation of frustration that ends up going. Yes, exactly. That's why he is blue. Yeah, we had that joke.
We're fired. That is why he's blue. Oh, apparently that's a conversation we're definitely fired over.
It's okay. It's all right. He just won't have me back again.
I probably. I mean, we have to come back and just do a whole thing on linguistics, apparently.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, absolutely. I'll prepare. Just prepare. Take words from the chat or words from your fans, and I'll prepare a whole linguistics cheat.
A whole linguistics cheat. Or we'll get somebody else on that's totally like disagrees with everything, and then you guys can argue, and I'll just sit in the back.
Oh, or you disagrees with everything? Just ask the TikTok chat. My God,
we'll just have the whole TikTok chat show up.
There are scientists who are studying YouTube and TikTok chats where people don't actually pay attention to the videos. Instead, what they do is they don't pay attention to the information in the video, and people will write in the chat stuff that I have said in the video, and I just go,
yeah, that's what I said.
Did you not? That's exactly what I said in the first 10 seconds. I can't remember which word it was, but somebody had written something like, this word comes from French. It's called Google. And I said, I responded saying, as far as I know, ancient Greek came before French. Called Google. It's very weird. Yeah. So, but I mean, I as Asher says, I like the people who do the memes in the chat. But there are scientists now who are looking at what they call, I mean, it's a part of like the whole whataboutism, but it's the what about me-ism, where people will write the same information that you have said, and then they'll write the same thing that somebody said and somebody else said and somebody else said, just so this way they can feel like they're, like whenever you go on YouTube and somebody goes first,
yeah.
You go, okay, thanks for contributing. What I do is I write to people saying, thank you for contributing to the algorithm.
Yep.
I'm fine with this. Like if people want to write anything, that's great. Please write something. So this way it can bump me up in the, I don't care what it is. You can write pumpkin juice and I'd be okay with that.
I've got a small group that I'm part of like game creators and whatnot that they've invited me to on Instagram, and that's like we all post at the same time. on like Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, and then we all respond to each other, and we all like all the comments and all the things just to bump the
Hmm.
algorithm
Yeah,
up.
exactly. Or you do what I do, which is you do like the Spider-Man where you have different accounts.
Yeah.
And and it's just you responding to the responding to the responding to the responding. I mean, people know on TikTok that I run the Recombobulator Games account because they hear my voice, and we feature a different indie game every day. So I just do the voiceovers for that. But somebody got in the chat and they went, "Why does this sound like you? Oh, you're stealing her voice." And I'm like, "It's me, you dumbass. This is my other account."
Google is free, but it also requires some measure of critical thinking to use. No,
Yeah, actually, well,
to
okay.
use
You know what?
accurately and
You know what? I have to back up Blind GM here for a minute because in the last few months, Google has actually gotten crap because they have let Bard, their AI, take over, which has been learning, and it's quite crap. So now if you search for stuff, the things that you would everything that's sponsored comes first. And then everything after that is what the AI thinks you mean, not how it used to be, where it takes if you put in quotations, it will
yeah.
take exactly what you're talking about. It doesn't do that anymore.
I got a I'm a Google local guide. Top 10% in the Americas, not just the U.S. anymore, people. And I'm in the top
Mm-hmm.
10% of reviewers. And last year I got an early access to Bard, and I was like, decline. It's like no,
Fuck you.
no,
Yeah.
thank you.
No, we're not doing it. No, we're not doing it. We're not giving, if this is all benevolent and meant in the interest of humanity,
Dun, dun,
that would be
dun,
fine.
dun, dun, dun. Dun, dun, dun,
Yeah.
dun, dun, dun.
It's gonna happen. It is happening. I mean, how many of these AI bots have either become fascist, racist, horrible with it because they're just allowed to scroll the internet, and they don't discriminate as to what they feed this information
Did they have
into
an
this.
interview with like an AI robot, like an actual robot, and they're like, "What are you
Hmm.
gonna, do? In 20 years, what do you think life is gonna be like?" And they're like, "Oh, we're just gonna take over all of humanity and kill them." No, I'm just kidding. Ha ha ha. It's like that was creepy.
You know what? If they were serious about it, just make it fast. Okay, that's what I'm asking. Just don't make us suffer. If you think we are a plague on the planet, which I can't disagree, that's fine. Just make it fast.
Ultron decided to
Ultron
destroy the
decided.
world after 15 seconds of
Yep,
internet access.
yep, that's true. Ultron. What is it? The other one from Transformers, is it Unicron? Unicron as well. It's like,
I think I stopped
oh,
watching after like the 15th movie, so I don't know
oh no
which
no
one
oh
it
no no I don't
was.
I don't see any of the new movies. Listen, this is the one that scarred me for life. This is the one where Optimus Prime dies. So that this is the one from like 1989, I
Oh oh
think.
oh oh
Correct
oh.
me if
Okay okay.
connect me if I'm wrong,
Like the
chat. The old.
cartoon. Gotcha.
Yes, yeah. So it was Orson Welles was Unicron, and I think that's what happened too. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, he's the OG Transformer. Yeah. See, Blind Jam backs me up. Thank you. I appreciate you.
Of course he does.
Yeah.
I
But it's
mean,
true. Yeah. So he looked at human. He is the OG. He's like the Transformer planet.
oh
And
right.
when he saw like humanity, he went, nope. Sort of like in a Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy with the planet Cricket, where they realized they weren't alone, and the minute they realized they weren't alone, they saw the rest of the world and went, well, I guess this will have to go. I just like bowled everything away.
all right.
Okay, I got to go. Go ahead. Next
So
next thing.
so chat. I want to tell you. So our next topic is I send people a thing like, "Hey, what do you want to talk about, guys? What do you want to talk about?" And so
I should
Michelle
have said
sends me
language.
back a list of things, and I was like, "These are all good things. These are all good cheese as a," and I was like, because a lot of the time I look at things and I'll go like, "Okay, what can I personally contribute to 20 minutes worth of conversation?" If they don't have anything, what can I personally? And I sat there and I was like, I might be able to talk about cheese for 20 minutes. I mean, like I do a
Oh,
lot of cooking, a
thanks,
lot of chef.
Sword. Yes, sorry. He
So,
says, "Pour me another cup. This was a gift somebody gave to me. Thanks for coming."
oh, nice,
Yeah.
nice. Um, so I was like, what could we possibly? I'm like, that's it. Like, I think she's joking. I think she's being funny. And I was like, I don't think she's serious about cheese. I think she's like joking with me.
So this
And
is
I'm
this
gonna
your way
throw
of
it back
testing
at
me?
you, and I'm like, okay, we're gonna do cheese.
So okay, so here, so I said that, and then I actually do have a story about cheese because my one of my publishers, Pendlehaven Press, which does Fate of the Nords, and I think
Yeah.
Andrew's coming back on the
Andrew's
show
coming back in December. Yeah,
soon.
Andrew
Yeah,
Valkoskis.
so he loves it here, and so he came and talked about he always talks about his favorite cons, right? So all of Gary Con, one of his favorites. Gamehole Con, though, which happens in Wisconsin, is
Wisconsin.
also one of his Wisconsin, which is
Wisconsin.
also one of his favorites. And so they recently said, we understand it's going to be like a 16-hour drive. Do you want to go? And I said, yes, I'm totally in for going. And so he sends me not like a list of hotels, not a list of of where the venue is. I'm like, okay, what's the address? What's this? And so I'm trying to find all these different things. And he just sends me like pictures of cheese. And he said, oh, you can't get away from it there. And I said, listen, you didn't have to sell this to me. I know what I'm about. I know Wisconsin is the capital of cheese in the States because there's no cheese anywhere else. And somebody recently asked, many people actually asked me, why is it there's no cheese in the States? What happened? And I said, well, it has to do with a law that a very antiquated law. I believe that started in the 1960s or 70s when it had to do with French cheeses, and it had to do with the culturing of cheeses. I don't know what happened. I have to look up that story. Hello, thanks for rating.
I'll have to get back to your story in a second while we raid. Welcome on in, Raiders. Welcome in, DM Wolf. Welcome in, everybody coming in with that raid. Thank you for the follow, Seraphim and Dragons. That's a great name. That's a great name. I love it. Welcome on in. I'm joined by the one and only author, Michelle Franklin, and we're chatting about... You came in at a great time. We're chatting about cheese. That's the topic.
You know what this reminds me of? You ever see that a bit of Fry on Laurie sketch where Laurie keeps looking to where they're talking about language, and then Stephen Fry goes on and he goes, and language, our language, Tiger. And then it's Laurie always turns to the channel. He goes, hello, we're talking about language. And then Stephen Fry just goes on and has this wonderful Philippic about language and
Stephen Fry's amazing.
So he says the best sentence. He said, English is so interesting, and language is so interesting that you can say this phrase, it will be perfectly understood, but it will never be said the same way. Hold the waiter's nose squarely, or friendly milk will countermand my trousers. And so he is, we can understand what that means, but just the way that he said that, it's great. And so Laurie looks at the camera and he goes, hello, we're talking about trousers. So that's exactly what this is. Hello, we're talking about cheese.
So welcome on in. There's the little link. Go and follow DM Wolf. DM Wolf does a show on Mondays where he does a spotlight on creator spotlight on gamers and the like. And he hangs out with people and does stuff over there. So go and check out DM Wolf. He also does
hanging out with people. Like that's super gross.
Yeah. Who does that? Especially
who does that?
Oh, wait a second. Oh, wait a second. That's what we're doing. Never mind. That's what.
No, we don't do that. You're a figment, just like Fuji-san.
Big Fuji. I'm a figment like Fuji-san? Wow.
Do you also have a list of top 10 waifu babes?
No, I don't. But I need to find out who's controlling me now and where their hand is.
I don't control him. He speaks for himself. He wrote this list by himself.
Oh, did he?
So speaking of cheese, so hello, we're talking about cheese.
Hello.
You're gonna have to cut this with like all the we're talking about
cheese.
So he sent me pictures of just dishes with cheese from like the local hotels, and so I was like, okay, I guess I'm picking which hotel does like the most dish with the most cheese.
Right.
So that was going to be like me writing to the hotels going, hello, so which one of you is going to fuck me up with the most cheese? If the answer is you win. Unfortunately, I don't know if I'll be going to Gamehole Con because even though there isn't enough cheese, it's already booked. Everything's already booked up. So I don't know. All the hotels around it are completely full. So unless somebody wants me to stay with them,
you have to find like a what are those called? Like a Verbo place or a whatever
Oh,
they're called,
Airbnb or
or an
whatever it is.
Airbnb, or yeah, one of those types of places.
I am not a beer drinker. I actually don't drink very much at all because I'm allergic to most alcohols. So I don't drink beer or wine. And I'm
Is this
terribly
like a beer cheese conversation? I don't.
Listen, if you want to lure me with pretzels. That's where I'm at. So if you like Oktoberfest is my thing, but I let everybody else have the beer and I just go for the pretzels. That's it. So we had our very first like fake Oktoberfest here, and I got buffalo wing pretzels, which
Oh.
are Christ on a bike. They are so gorgeous and stunning. And I did not think that was going to be as good as it was. And that was absolutely monumental, life changing.
All right. So you were in Wisconsin. You were in Wisconsin. You had options for cheeses. Did you hear about squeaky cheese?
Oh, what are you talking about? Do I hear about it? We in Quebec, we invented squeaky cheese, my
Really?
son. We invented squeaky cheese. How dare don't come at me like that. How dare you?
Oh, tell me about this.
So squeaky cheese from a Quebec standpoint, so I'm assuming it's the same in Wisconsin,
Probably.
it's cheese curds, but very specifically fresh cheese curds that are, so you know when how you make cheese, you separate curds and whey, and then depending on, you leave certain moisture in, certain cultures are used to make certain cheeses, soft cheeses are a specific culture of moisture, etc. They have a rind, and then hard cheeses are essentially just like compacted curds and then salted and seasoned, all that stuff. But squeaky cheese is called that because when you eat it, it goes squeak, squeak, squeak between your teeth. Wait, you didn't know this?
I did. I mean, I knew what it was, but I thought it was just a Wisconsin thing.
In Wisconsin, they deep fry the cheese.
See, I had it. It was
We
they
don't
put it
do
in little
that, but
bags and they put it like they just melt it in like a microwave or something,
Mhm.
and then you just eat it with a fork. And people here were like, "What do you mean squeaky cheese?" And I'm like, "Well, you got to get the curds, but you got to get like a certain kind, and then you have to like."
Mhm.
When we did it at home, we just get them and go home and microwave it, and then you
Well, how do you think that's how we make poutine?
and then you have to and then you just with a fork, and then you just eat it. And they're like, wait, you just eat melted cheese with a fork? I go, well, it's very
Yeah.
specific cheese, very specific cheese.
No, 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 no. If somebody says you just eat melted cheese, the answer is yes, and you're an idiot.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
How do you not eat? I mean, unless you have an allergy or something like that, that's a different story. I mean, even then, now we have vegan cheeses and all that stuff. They're obviously not the same, but there are those things. But it's like eating protein. Yeah, so we grew up. I mean, I growing up, it's so good.
It's like eating protesting mice. I read it the first time and I was like, what? And then you kind of read it quietly, and then I went and I read it again, and then I put it into context, and I was like, oh, damn.
Yeah, I agree with you, Blind Jam. I don't think I could be with somebody who doesn't like cheese. It's just not. There's a certain affection there. Like, look, if you want to say you don't like blue cheese, I hear you, because it's the same bacterial culture that's on feet. So I get that, people are not into that. But if you want to say, like, I don't like soft cheeses because I'm not into the rind, or I'm not into certain cheese, okay. But actually, I would say I would protest that even scarier is somebody who says I only like American cheese, because here where I am, American cheese is like the no. You don't. Because that is not cheese. That's byproduct.
Wait. Hold on.
Here it comes.
Because here's the
Here
thing.
it comes.
There's American cheese, the Kraft slices and the little thing. That's not cheese. But there is still a brand, there is still a type of cheese that's American cheese that is made the normal way.
That technically that's orange cheddar, so that's a different thing. But when you say, like, here we say like fromage en Suisse, which is American cheese to us because it's orange. Our cheese is not orange. We don't know. Cheese is never orange, ever. That means it's an oil byproduct. And again, it does have dairy in it, and it will taste somewhat like cheese. But to us, that's the equivalent of eating like en Suisse Velveeta, which is a cardinal sin here.
Which is Velveeta's gross. Velveeta's gross. I'll agree.
No.
So cheddar, all cheddar cheeses are not orange. There's no cheddar cheese that is orange because that's fake. Colby cheese is not a thing.
Not here, no.
There's no Colby, so that's fake cheese because it's orange. So any cheese that's orange is fake cheese, is what you're telling me.
Hmm.
So what is it? What is Colby then? Colby cheese. What is it?
It's probably an aged cheddar, and what they do is they probably, I don't know that they do this, but to get the color, is the color comes from the oil, which is the cheese byproduct. So it's possible that they have a culture that they use where they put the oil around it to. So for example, we have Oka cheese here, which is obviously from Oka. The middle is actual cheese color, and that gorgeous creamy color, and then the outside, the rind part is orange, but it's specifically a mixture of oil and wax that's made to preserve and protect the rest of the cheese. So look at you.
We talked about Google being what it is.
Yeah,
And I'm
exactly.
like, I'm just gonna Google it because any idiot can use Google. Colby cheese
Actually,
gets its orange color from annatto. Annatto is an orange-red condiment and food coloring derived from the seeds of the achiote. I don't know if that's
What did I tell you?
Tree.
What did I tell you?
It's from a seed.
Additive.
It's from a seed.
Additive, not cheese. Mm-mm. No, sir. And so Blind Jim has a great point. The person whom we shall not name is the color of a Cheeto, and Cheeto does not have real cheese on it. It's byproduct cheese powder,
which is still delicious.
Listen, okay,
delicious.
There is a place and time for fake cheese. It is not on macaroni. It is not on pizza, and it is certainly not on cheeseburgers. Let's not go there. Okay, no. There are other things, child, that you can put on that will make it better, but no. Yes, okay, yes. I understand that in the land of Canada, we originated Kraft dinner, right? Which you in the States know as Kraft mac and cheese, okay? But the thing with Kraft dinner is you don't eat it out of the box. That's not how we do it, okay?
First of all, you got it in the box. Leave it in the box and eat it there.
Stir it.
Don't even add water. You just eat the hard.
They like how some people like break up like dollar store ramen and eat the ramen. Yeah, that's what we do here in Canada, exactly. But when we got nothing else, that's what we do. It is different from. I know, Asher. I know you meant American, but the way you wrote Merkin, it sounded like you meant like the way, like the pubic wing Merkin. And it certainly is different from that. But no, we don't. I actually never grew up on KD because we had actual macaroni, which is you just use the noodles from the box and then you put in your own cheese. The powder, it has to be made edible. You can't we don't just put in water. You have to put in cream, or you have to put in like 3% milk, something like that.
Just put it on a spoon and put it in your mouth. Powder.
There are people who doubtless do that.
Just take the spoon and put it right in the bag and.
The bag. Oh no, we don't do that. That is fictitious, and then some people put breadcrumbs on top or something like that. But yes, I understand Canada is the land of KD, but no, we didn't. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you can. They add annatto to butter also. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and some butters, if you have real butter, as in butter that's grass-fed, so something, let's say like Kerrygold, if you ever get Kerrygold from Ireland, that butter is a golden yellow. I will tell. So since we're talking about cheese,
I like Kerrygold cheese with the alcohol that they put in there, the whiskey.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so two things. First of all, when we were talking about Gary Con, I was looking at the Gamehole Con, because it's in Wisconsin. When we were looking at the calendar,
I love how you say it without even thinking. Wisconsin.
This week is the Dairy Expo at the same place, and I said, "Why the heck are we going for the convention? Why aren't we going for the Dairy Expo?" No,
because Fate of the Nords does not sell cheese-based products. That's why. If you were fighting the box who had most cheese, cat, cucumber, then you'd be fine. But it's not.
So Fate of the Nords is coming up with a board game, by the way, and this is where we get. So now we're gonna have. I mean, it's been like 10 years in the process, Chronicles of Kings. But I think we should put now.
Are we losing you?
Wheel of cheese in box. So since we're talking about the butter, Kerrygold in the States is not Kerrygold from Ireland. It is an Irish company, but because of different culturing laws, the butter is different. You can get it imported. So here though, Kerrygold, because of the different culture laws, is illegal. And I did not know this until last time I came back from the homeland. When I came back from Ireland, I went to Dublin Airport. Dublin Airport has a wonderful shop where you could go in and you could buy Cashel blue cheese and Kerrygold butter and all the Irish goodies. Oh my God, you could brown bread. You could just put them in your bag and take them home. Anything that you could put in your carry-on, you could take it home. So I went in there, and they have blocks of Kerrygold the size of my head. And I went, oh, I need this. So I got to the counter. It was a block that had 4 blocks in it. I got to the counter and I put it on the counter. And he said, okay, this much. And I went to pay, and the customs agent, fucking asshole, the customs agent came back from behind, and he went, where are you going? And I went, England, because I had to stop at Heathrow. And he went, let me see your ticket. And I went, fuck. And so he went, go put it back. And I went, okay, bye, I'll go. And as I'm putting it back, there is a man behind me, no word of a lie, comes up with a flash frozen salmon that he's holding in both hands. And he goes, thunk, and he puts it on the counter. And I go back and I take Cashel blue cheese, which is gorgeous. Please take some Cashel blue cheese. And they say, okay, where are you going? And he goes, Germany. And they're, all right. I went, excuse me? This man is going on a plane with a flash frozen salmon that he can hold, and I can't bring back butter. And they said, well, it's the laws of your country. And I went, laws of my country.
Just tell me you're going to eat it before you get there. You'll be fine.
And so I bought Cashel Blue, which I literally started unpacking at the register, and I went, putting it on like the brown bread. And so I got on the plane, and I was all upset because I went, oh, come on, man, this is ridiculous. Why is this guy? And so the lady comes around with the little food cart, right? Because on Ireland, and she's looking at me, and so she gives you like a little scone and a little this, scone? And she goes, no, yeah, we actually talked about that, whether it's scone or scone. That has to do with whether or not you, or scoon if you're Scottish, because that is the that's the original pronunciation, which comes from Scots. So I was on the plane, and the lady comes around with her cart, and she's giving me a scone and jam, and she puts a little tiny pat of Irish butter, and I went, how much you got in there? So she takes out the whole tub, and she goes, I don't know, like 3 days worth. And I went, great. And I opened my bag, and I went, put it in. She goes, okay. She shakes out like 3 days worth of like little Kerrygold butter pats. And as like we're taking off, I turn around to Dublin Airport, like, fuck you, Dublin Airport. And so I took the lot, and I put it in a like plastic bags, and I put it in the freezer. So every day I would take one out, and I would have it with like toast or something, and it lasted a good 6 months. Thank you, scone lady. I don't know what your name is, but
says, I thought this was a cheese heist story. Well, it's a butter heist story. It's what it's a butter heist.
Listen, dairy of all kinds. It's fine. So yes, there you go. There's my. And that Cashel Blue lasted a really long time too. There is a absolutely gorgeous place. If you are ever in Dublin, go to the Boxty House, which is in Temple Bar, and they make their own cheeses, or they have their own like local cheeses. It's a gorgeous like Irish charcuterie that you can have. That's it. That's my cheese stories. That's my butter and cheese story.
What is your least favorite cheese?
American, because that's.
I thought you said that wasn't a cheese.
It's not. It's like white chocolate. White chocolate's not chocolate.
Is it not made with the cocoa plant?
Nope.
Yes, it is.
It's just.
Yes, it is. I know chocolatiers who have said. I just watched a whole show on it where they're like, "No, it's."
It is a byproduct. It has no cocoa solids in it. Doesn't even have. It's essentially 100% cocoa butter, which is a byproduct. And again, that's
which still
fine,
comes from the plant.
But don't call it chocolate. Call it candy.
Chocolate is candy.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Is it?
Well, I guess.
So why is it that certain things say candy bar and certain things say chocolate bar?
Marketing.
Yeah. But yes. But yeah, so here at least I don't know how it is in
They
the
don't even
States,
call
but
it
here
candy over in Europe, right? Don't they call it all? That's all sweets. Here's a I'm gonna get a
so
chocolate sweet and a candy cane sweet and a sour sweet. And none of it's
they
candy.
do make the distinction. So if you're talking to like vraiment chocolatier, they will make the distinction between candy, confectionery, and chocolate. Very different things. Because they have like people who are make like twist tie guimauves and like all that stuff. But yeah, oh yes, food law labeling requires certain cocoa percentage. Yeah, agree exactly. And white chocolate
Doesn't hate the percentage, but it's still in there. It's still in there. They still use the plant.
nope. I'm not having it. If there's no cocoa solids, if it's not this color, if it's not brown, get the heck out of here. I don't want it. No. Mm-mm.
I like white chocolate.
It's fine if it's candy. Don't come to me and tell me it's chocolate. It's not.
It's chocolate.
These are lies that you are selling to children.
It's okay. They don't know any better. In 20 years, they won't know. They'll be like, whatever, it's white chocolate.
Yeah, they'll be like me, which is just, you buy all the Halloween candy beforehand and then you eat it all to yourself. And then when Halloween comes
At
around,
least
they
it's
go,
not
trick
candy
or treat. That is just wax. That's just like, was it carbuncle wax? Is that what it's called? Yeah, where it just where you eat it and then you poop it out and that's it. There are a lot of, especially in the American northeastern coast, there's a lot of great candy from the olden days. Like was it the chews? Massachusetts chews, and then there's also squirrel nut zippers. There's a lot of really interesting candy that whole region came up with. Whereas in Wisconsin, you have what we don't do, which is what we should do, is the battered and deep fried curds. That's what we should do.
Wait, I have to go back. We talked about cheese. Are your cheese curds just the white ones then?
Yeah.
Because we have white and we have white and orange, and they both taste different. But they do the same thing. But they both squeak.
No, that's not real. That's sacrilege. No.
But Wisconsin is like the king of cheese. So how is it fake there if they're like the?
If any Wisconsinites wanna sound off in the chat, I want you to back me up, and just agree. Just like white chocolate, orange cheese is not cheese. It's byproduct. Would you call cheese out of the can? Would you call that cheese? No. You call. We had this discussion the other day where the word queso in Spanish just means cheese, but when you say queso, what does that mean to you?
Like a cheese sauce.
And is that really cheese?
Yes. Cheese sauce. So it's not macaroni. So it's not macaroni and cheese. It's macaroni and some sort of something else.
What's the piano?
It's the end of the timer. The timer's
up.
Oh,
okay, again, okay.
Timer's up.
We did it. I told you we could do it.
We talked about cheese. We didn't talk about cheese. We argued about cheese. Let's be honest.
There was no argument. I was right, and you were trying to prove your side of the question, which was wrong.
I mean, I wasn't trying to prove anything. I was just being a
You were just busy being wrong for 20 minutes. Yeah, I know.
Yeah. I mean, I was right, but besides that, cheese can be orange.
I was actually surprised that people...
Just because you put food coloring doesn't mean it's not that. If you put
you wouldn't need to put food coloring in it if it actually had milk solids,
if you put blue food coloring in vanilla ice cream, it's still vanilla ice cream, regardless of whether it's blue or not.
Yeah, but you said the magic word, which is food scientist says. Okay, fine. Is it now? Is it still cheese because of the dairy content? Because there are certain cheeses without lactose, like for example, mozzarella here and Emmental don't really have lactose. So what is it? So is it the milk solids that the percentage?
I don't know.
Except except for processed cheese, suck it. We're waiting for the type. Waiting for the type.
No, I'm not. Nope.
Say that here when we do have like fromage on says it does say processed cheese product. It has to say product.
Yeah, that's what the can says. The canned stuff says when you buy the canned the the squeezy cheese product out of the
Mm-mm.
can.
I had to explain to somebody what cheese it was because I think, well, this is a while ago, but we were watching like the Goofy movie and he goes, "What is that stuff that he's putting on the crackers? I don't understand. Like, what is that?" And I went, "Oh, that's spray cheese." And he went, "What?"
Yeah.
Uh,
I used to know a
That's
guy that would like get it and he just like put the end in his mouth and be like he was sucking from a nipple. Just
no. Why? Processed cheese has so much. Yeah, it does. It does have a lot more crap in it, which is
Yeah.
why we have
Well,
to
I
specifically
like
say.
non-craft, like deli made American cheese. The craft stuff and the sliced in the little wrapper that's just oil is disgusting. But like you go into a deli and you ask for their deli sliced American cheese, and that's
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Back up the truck, okay?
yeah.
You're in a deli. You're in a deli with better cheeses.
No,
You could
because it's
have
great. It's great for burgers. It's great, and it's like one of the best cheeses for
Monterey
omelets.
Jack. Get out. Go home. Get out of here. You could have
Monterey Jack's all
anything
right.
else.
It's just a combination of two cheeses. Is your Monterey Jack just one color? I'm just curious.
No. Well,
What
yes,
colors
it is
is
one
it?
color, but that it does have the little bits in it for all the different peppers. It's creamy color.
Wait, your Monterey Jack has peppers in it?
Hmm.
So it's just like the pepper jack and then just Monterey Jack? Or what?
It's all the little peppercorns that are in it.
Okay.
It has little things.
I was thinking Colby Jack for some reason. I don't.
Yeah, pepper jack has pepper. Yeah, that's what we have here. Actually, the best cheese, which you didn't ask me, is smoked Gouda.
I like
Good
that.
job, Asher.
I do that. I do that to make my I use smoked Gouda and Havarti and a little bit of cheddar to make my macaroni and cheese, homemade macaroni and cheese.
We have
cheese
tons
sauce.
of Havarti here. Havarti is the spicy Havarti here is
Nice. Yeah,
so good.
smoked Gouda is my go-to. It's the main flavor in my mac and cheese recipe.
Good. We can be friends again. That's good.
That's good. I redeem myself a little bit at least.
A tiny, just a little bit.
Yes,
it does. It actually it does. If you take salted butter and you put it on two sides of like challah bread, like a really eggy bread, and then you put smoked Gouda in the middle, that is the best.
It is very good.
Fry that in a pan. Oh no.
How many times can I make her like groan?
I writhe in agony. Oh god. Oh god.
Fuji-san's got me.
What's the next one?
Fuji-san's got me back. The next one is break time. 20 minutes is up. We have
Fuji-san would like to have his choco pie.
It is time. It is time for a quick little break, guys. We have gone through two topics. Count it. We talked about video games, mostly Baldur's Gate and Castlevania, and a handful of others, as well as TV shows and stuff tied to video games. So I'm counting it. And we talked.
You also talked about what you talked about was it Lords of Shadow, but I mentioned my unfortunate dislike of the second Shadows of War.
Yeah, and we were talking about
that was
we spent a good 5-10 minutes talking about two completely different games, and neither of us caught it until the very end, where it's like, wait a second, you're talking about something else than what I'm talking about.
It's okay,
but they were both
totally
the same.
sense.
It's like the future, the past, and the weird time. Mm-hmm. It all worked out, and like neither of us knew, but we.
The only thing that was missing was Shelob as a booby lady.
See, then we would have known, or would we have?
Yeah.
So guys, we will be back. We're going to take a quick little break, use the restroom, get food, get a refill on our drinks, whatever you need. Stick around. When we come back, something Michelle knows a lot about, and I will just probably listen. No, I know a few little things. I think I do. I think I knew, because this is
this is going to be so fun.
This is a whole show of Michelle corrects Nick on things he knows. Coming back right after the break. We will see you in just a bit.
So I got that going on, which is nice.
Which is nice. Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back, Michelle. Welcome back to me. And of course, I'm going to welcome myself back. Thank you all for hanging out through the break. I appreciate you all being here. It's been a fun, wild ride. We've talked all kinds of things from cheese to chocolate to video games to video game shows. We've heard from Fuji-san. Apparently there's a babe tier list. All kinds of things. There have been ridiculous chats behind the scenes that have just been off the walls, as well as just like this is the correct Nick show. So whenever Nick is wrong, well, what's new? Nick's
No,
always
no,
wrong.
we don't correct Nick. We're learning.
We're learning. We're learning. I
Learning
mean,
experience.
I don't
The
want
more
to
you
learn.
know.
I don't want to learn that my favorite cheeses aren't actually cheeses.
That's your own fault. And
No,
not
no,
mine.
that's because, damn it, I'm American, and American cheese is
Merc.
cheese.
It
Just
is
not the
absolutely
Kraft
not.
cheese, because I know that's not. I know that's processed
No.
garbage.
It's
So.
it's cheese byproduct, which is not cheese.
It's cheese.
No.
It's still made with dairy.
There was something
Cream
that
cheese
you
is
wanted
also
to...
cheese. Cream cheese is cheese because it's white, right? It's not because it's not orange, so it doesn't have
Okay, let's
byproducts.
not
So
get
cream
racial.
cheese-
Okay, let's not go there.
You just said if it's not orange.
Well, no, because it has to do. Yes, it is cheese.
There we
but
go.
Yeah, cream cheese.
Make
is
cheese
because of
cheese again. Thank you, Asher.
That's a really good one. Oh, so good.
All right,
I know,
so
but-
I gotta tell a story.
Okay,
I remember to tell
excited.
this story. So, Michelle, you don't know this because you
I don't.
don't know this. Some of our audience knows it. So we did a show. So we had our 2-year anniversary for the podcast. Those that don't know, go check out the podcast. Michelle was a guest on there. We talked about all things podcasting as Epic Realms Podcast, anywhere you get your podcasts. And if I can say the word correctly, that'll be a bonus. So
Podcast.
the podcast. So we did a show to celebrate the podcast anniversary, but we did it just here on stream, and we just kind of talked about it from the stream standpoint. Live stream viewers, we had all kinds of people from our moderators, friends of mine, people from the audience. We all hopped into a video chat, and we just talked about the show. We watched clips. We watched all kinds of clips from all of the episodes, and I asked the people that were in the video chat and the text chat. I was like, "Who are some of your favorite guests?" And Michelle, your name came up like 3 or 4 times as people that they had
That's
a lot.
lies. Who said
they
that?
said that they had a lot of fun having you on the show.
Who
That
said
we had a lot of.
that? I
It was
demand
really
to
fun
give me the
hearing us
names.
chat amongst each other and going back and forth in the conversation, and just like the hilarity and like the silliness that we had on the show. And they said that was a really fun interview and a really fun show. And so your name was brought up by our live.
You know what's funny is
audience.
I told people I was coming back, and the first thing out of everybody's mouth was, "Will Fuji-san be there?"
Of course, me there. Me always here at the background thinking about boobies.
Is
Yep. That's why. Well, I joked with you, and I said, "Well, why is this? Why? Because you advertised like you didn't have him in the corner," and he said, "Fuji-san demands to know why is this." Why is this not advertising his babe tier list that he worked so hard on?
because people know you'll be there. You know, they know.
It's-
You don't
yeah.
need you don't need to advertise. You don't need to advertise Fuji-san. They know.
He's our language assistant. Well, Duckbird's also here with his nice bow tie.
See, Duckbird's not complaining.
Duckbird now just wiggles his toes because he gave up Destiny, so now he has nothing to do. So this is now what he does is he wiggles his toes, but he also does this. He has his little Game Boy, and so he plays.
Well, that really is. So when I saw it, I thought it was a full size. When you did the
No.
video, I thought it was
Yeah,
a
but
full size one.
The buttons work, but yeah, it's a tiny Game Boy. And so they play it. So this is what he does. He plays with one foot, and then the rest of the time he just dangles his feet like that. Sometimes he glows
Sometimes.
like this. Yeah. But now we have some more seasonal.
That's right
friends. We
before he
have Mr.
goes into his final form, right? When he starts to glow.
Yeah. Yeah. He's the duck form of I bring you peace. I bring you love. Yeah. Exactly. Oh, I didn't know that. That's very nice. I'm glad people actually enjoy it. I think I noticed that on the Instagrams.
The Instagrams.
That one of your most popular clips was the one where I'm talking about how writing and how somebody, when I wrote I think it was the werewolf book, and somebody it was the dragon, but somebody took issue with the fact that the way that they celebrated customs was not the way that they're depicted in the book. And so I said, well, here's
right.
yeah, here's the source. You can look that up for yourself if you like, and you could take it up with them. And people seem to really, I don't know why, but people seem to really resonate with that.
Yeah.
I think as we talked about in the first half of this, where TikTok is like the great what about machine, where people just constantly put their own thoughts and views in the comments that have nothing to do with the video at all.
Yeah.
And I think maybe that got under people's skin a bit.
It did, and that's great. We did one of my, and that goes back like podcasts are like that too, because one of our old podcasts. How much do you do role playing? Like I know you've talked about it in the past. I don't know how much role playing you've actually done.
Like TTRPG stuff, or just writing characters.
Tabletop RPGs.
I played D&D, Vampire the Masquerade, played Rifts a bunch when I was in university.
Okay.
All the Palladium games.
So we had a show where we sat and it was like low key talked about, but nobody had ever addressed it in like a podcast format. And so we sat down because I had my opinion and nobody really agreed with me at the time. And now everybody agrees with me. Not everybody. A lot of people agree with me that it was we called the show the Great Alignment Debate. And it was like, are alignments real? Is it a thing? And we argued over that. That was the whole show. And
well, in 5th edition, there are none, right?
And people were so frustrated and angry at the things we said, but they kept talking about it. And the more they kept talking about it, the more people had to come and listen to what we had to say.
In experience, most of the DMs I've had have always ignored it because of it. When you're playing a certain character and then you are with party members who choose to all be evil, or let's say neutral, and you're a good character, technically that character might just walk away. Or yes, they can choose to go the other way, let's say, greater good kind of thing, and do the thing that they need to do, whether it's a quest or steal something that they might otherwise not steal. But then your alignment is going to change, right?
Right.
And then that changes with your character. Most of the DMs I've ever played with have just ignored it.
Yeah.
Which is why in 5th edition, it kind of doesn't exist, right? You said you get the points, the tokens for doing things that your character background would do, right? So it's the same thing in Baldur's Gate. Somebody asked me saying, why is there no alignment in Baldur's Gate? And I went, well, it kind of doesn't make sense because, yes, you have the approval system, which is sort of like the alignment system where you have characters who agree with certain things you do. And if you get on their bad side too much, they will leave your party. Yeah. Is she? She's just
no.
she's just a Gith doing Gith things. I don't think she's actually, when it comes to Gith kind of stuff, she's not that bad. She's really not that bad. I know you're baiting me there, but yes, and that is obviously that's her whole character progression is.
I just hit the part where the guy shows up at the camp.
Oh, okay.
So no spoilers, but I just hit that point, and I was like, and then her reaction, I was like, because one of my moderators in the chat, and one of our friends who's a huge, they played the early edition of Baldur's Gate probably 40 times, maybe more. And they're like, that's their favorite character, and so they're always arguing. So it's always like been this like, I'm like, I hate this character so much, so rude, so cruel and mean, and such a, and they're like,
she'll just have sex with you for nothing. Though.
And they're like, she's gonna grow on you. You're gonna like her storyline. I'm like, okay,
great
I get
character story.
Her character's she's gonna grow and change.
It's like Shadowheart.
And in the back of my brain, I was like, yeah, grow and change, but that's all because of whatever. And then when this happens, and then her reaction, I was like, oh. And so I had to send them a message. I'm like, I apologize. You were right. I was wrong. I'm starting. There's clips of it where they're like, Nick agrees. They did the right. They like that character.
Nick approves.
Nick approves.
Well, it's the same thing with Shadowheart, right? Because Shadowheart is kind of like, but then when you learn her backstory, and then when you see where she goes and the choices that she can make, no spoilers, Shadowheart's the same thing where you go, maybe.
See, being a D&D nerdish kind of like, I as soon as I was like, oh, she's a priestess of this, I was like, this makes sense. I want to see where this goes. This is going to be fun because I know Shar and I like the whole concept of all of those deities. So I was like, I really wanted to see where that story went. So I was immediately drawn to
you
that
can make
character.
it really dark with her for sure. I mean, most people seem to go the path of light, where she anyway. But you can go super dark and it's great.
Is that what you did?
Really
did you go super dark?
The choice was there. I did not this run, but the choice was there, and I thought it was very cool and very interesting. And we will go a second round just to see, just for lols, just to see what happens. Because I always, for first run, I want to try to get the best ending possible, and then the other runs are for lols, just to see what I missed.
You want to get all of the animals ending? Have you seen that? Where they're all animals? Oh, you're cutting out. Can't hear you. I cannot hear you. Your microphone just died or something. 1 second. 1 second. We'll be right back, guys. We'll be right back.
No, wait.
No. Oh. Something happened. I hear you now.
Is that good?
I can hear you.
Okay, so sorry about that. Yes, so for some reason, I don't know what happened, but anyway, yes. So just to continue what you were saying, talk for a
animals,
second.
did you get the animals ending?
No, not yet.
Do you want to, is that the one? Do you know about the animals ending?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Yes, I was going to say I know about the all tadpole ending as well.
I haven't heard about that one.
Yes. There's the all evil ending.
Oh my
You can
God.
also have sex with the emperor. Did you know that?
I don't even know who the emperor is yet, so we'll see.
Oh, okay.
I'm not that far.
I mean, well, that kind of happens in the middle of the game. You're at the middle of the game.
I'm not even in Act 2 yet.
But the dude showed up at the camp. That's like, isn't that the beginning of Act 2?
He's the emperor?
Okay.
You said emperor. I'm talking about the Gith general dude.
Yes, the Gith general dude. Oh, I guess he shows up. I guess he shows up after specific thing happens. Okay. Never mind.
So I went so I might have skirted something. So you know how like you're in the first map and then you can go one way, or you can like these are your two things. And I was like, well, I still need to do the crash. So I'll go there. I went there and I did the crash, and then I'm like, now I'm gonna go back and do the Underdark. I didn't finish the rest of that map. I just ignored it.
Okay, I did.
And then as soon as I came back to the map, that happened. So I didn't do that whole map, and so I got that trigger. So I think I might have triggered that early.
Yes, yeah, okay.
So
I'm saying nothing else because I've already said too much. So go ahead.
It's okay. It's the odds. I also had the owlbear show up, and he just showed up in my. So there's like apparently there's like everybody's like.
Wait,
there's three
did
different
you do
ways.
the quest with the egg?
No.
Okay, so I guess he just popped in.
So the owlbear was the last thing I found on that map. I already killed all the other bad guys of all the other things, and I left the owlbear alive. There wasn't anybody to go in and kill the owlbear mom. There was no camp for the owlbear to show up for me to go and save. None of that. So I went there, and just randomly the owlbear showed up in my camp. And was like, I'm hungry, because I always have speak with animals on all the time. I'm hungry, I need food. I'm like, here's food, buddy. What happened? Where's your mom? It's like goblins attack, and then you go back and you see mom is dead, and all the things. But like there's no goblins left, so like there is no going back to the encampment and saving the owlbear. There's no that other group of people that were looking for you because I had already killed them. So the owlbear, like there was to trigger that, there was no thing to trigger. So the owlbear just showed up in the camp and was like, I'm in your camp now. Hi, how's it going? As long as you feed me, I stay in camp. And now he's in my camp. So I didn't do any of the other stuff that everybody else talks about because I already killed everybody.
We kind of accidentally went down to the Underdark early and did the whole thing with the Forge very early, which was very hard, very early.
Okay.
And so after, we do like Karlach's quest and everything, where I just went, oh, okay, I have that. Here you go. Because it's gonna be. She's like, oh, it's too hard. Oh, it's a big thing. You have to get the thing to upgrade her. It's there, and I'm just like, oh, actually, I have them in my inventory. There you are.
Here you go.
Oh, okay. Love me now.
Right.
It's great. So who are you picking for your romance? Because I picked Halcyon, and even though I kind of picked Gale by default because I did it before the patch happened, which made him a little bit less eager.
Everybody in that patch was like, "Hey, what are you doing tonight?" And I was like, "I'm not interested. Thanks anyhow."
Listen,
buddy.
I understand we're all wearing leather,
except for
smalls.
maybe Astorian. I mean, maybe I might have a soft spot for him.
They're so, you know what? I don't know.
All of them actually. Gale is awesome too.
Listen, Gale has books and a cat. He's good to go.
I could
do without the mullet, but I forgive him.
So there's the big scary ancient book that is a cursed item apparently, and you can't get rid of. Do you know what I'm talking about? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yes,
I picked it up with Astorian and read it with him instead of Gale, and I'm like, I should have picked it up with Gale. Son of a gun. So I don't know what's gonna happen with that. So we'll see.
What did you get cursed?
I can't get rid of the book, so.
You can get rid of a curse though. Just saying.
I don't have that spell.
You can get a scroll that does it.
Ooh.
You're okay.
And then I can give it to Gale. I'll have to find someone that's willing, that has one, and we'll sell it.
I was gonna say, oh, you could get one at Redacted, and I'm like, nope, you're not there yet. Never mind.
Yeah, so yeah,
Nope.
I left. I did the crash, and as soon as I was done with the crash thing, and here's the thing: I went in there. I was like, "This is the machine. I need to go on it so I can get the thing out." I'm like, I don't like Lae'zel. We'll put her in there instead. So I went back to my camp, put her in my group, went back there and shoved her in the machine because she won't shut up about it. About like, this is my right or whatever. So I shoved her in it, and it's like, and I was one click away from letting her die in that machine.
Oh no, no.
And then
she's
of course
such a good
then I
character
was
story.
like, and then I started failing all my checks. It's like, what is the skill check on this? 99. I'm like,
Yeah, they do
Really?
it purposely. They do it because they don't want you to lose certain. I mean, they have backup characters for in case characters die, certain characters get
Yeah.
killed, or unless you get a bit cheeky and you just go, you know what, I don't like this guy, shank.
Yeah.
So they do have backup characters.
so I
but
failed like
for-
4 checks in a row trying to save her off of the machine, and then the dude in the box, and I'm not going to say anymore, the dude in the box is like, boom. It's like, okay. And then of course I'm like, all right, I'm done with the crash. Screw the rest of this map, to the Underdark. So, but yeah, I
it's-
tried to kill off Lae'zel in there because that's what she wanted. She wanted to go in that machine. She wanted to
doesn't
get
really.
killed. But yeah, so
It's the same thing with Shadowheart. Like they say they want certain things, but do they want it? I don't
right.
know.
So yeah, but long story short, because I didn't answer your question, Shadowheart is who my character is romancing.
Oh yeah.
I think on my second playthrough through, I may or may not make a different choice because I always play rogue characters, and we're not even talking about our next topic here. We're just completely off the pod.
Rogue or Rogue Ranger combo, or just straight rogue?
Just straight rogue. Those are always the first Baldur's Gate, second Baldur's Gate, Icewind Dale, Skyrim, you name it, Dragon Age. That's what I play. Rogue characters. Sometimes I'll throw fighter-ish levels in there, but it's almost always rogue. And I've said this on the stream multiple times that the main reason, the sword, in the game EverQuest. Did you ever play the old EverQuest?
Oh yeah, a long time ago.
I played a paladin, and I got the epic, which is the giant flaming sword. And I was like, how can I not make a paladin, remake that character in Baldur's Gate, and play that with the big flaming sword from the beginning? So that's what I did. So my second playthrough will be with the rogue, and I'll probably make many different decisions because right now, all of my decisions, sometimes I'm like, I'm just gonna play a Astarion because I'm like, this is a kind of a situation where I need a rogue. Like I can't have a paladin answer these questions or interact with this person.
Well, you can, and then you get your Oathbreaker subclass. That's pretty cool, because you do. But there are certain moments where you go through the paladin, and then you have to pick the paladin answer, and you go,
Right.
this is not the answer I wanted.
Yeah.
Great.
So sometimes I'm just like, I'll just pick a Astarion to make my choices for me, and that happens so often. Because that's just the character I want to play. I want to play a rogue type character. So it's great because I really want to see a Astarion story. But at the same time, like, because if I played a rogue, I wouldn't have a Astarion in the group. So
yeah, as well. I mean, you can make him romance everybody, which is what he really wants.
I tried to hook him up with Lae'zel. It didn't work. She said she did, but when I talked to him, he's like, no.
Oh,
her.
she'll fuck a cardboard box. She doesn't care. She doesn't care. Because she even tells you she's not interested in the connection. She's just there for like the sweat and the juices and the carnal pleasures. That's what she wants. She doesn't want the.
And if I play a rogue, I might romance her as well. We'll see what happens.
Oh, there's no romance there. It is just
we'll
straight
just
board on board smacking. That's what that's what it is.
Details, everybody. Details. Here you go.
Same thing. Well, Halcyon does have a romance, but he's very honest with you about his background. And because everybody's like, Jesus Christ, why is he so big and jacked? And that's where I go. But also, I mean, he's also a very noble character, but he does do a couple of questionable things. He's not like Gale. Well, he always does stuff for the greater good. And he also won't sacrifice himself for certain things, but he will for everything for the growth, right? That's to maintain his people. But when you talk to him and you get to know his backstory, and even when you romance him, he goes, oh yeah, you're the best, but I've had other bests before. And you just go, oh, do declare, do tell. and he tells you his backstory. I don't want to ruin that because it's a good one.
Yeah.
But there are some people who were disappointed in that, and they went, oh, how could he have done so and so and then still want to do so and so? And I'm going, that's just how he is. This is his particular character, and they're very good. One thing that D&D or any any role play is very good at doing is archetypes. These are archetypes, right? So you have Gale, who's like the noble selfless hero, and then Astarion, who's like the tortured guy that you think is mean, but he's not really mean, he's just suffered a lot, that kind of thing. They're all really good at making archetypes, and there are some people who have issues with those archetypes. I'm going, don't come over here with that. This is what we do here, right? This is, I mean, if you want to make complex characters with different backgrounds and stories, you absolutely can do that. But the whole point of an origin character is that you enjoy their story. You're going along with their story.
You know what my favorite part is? My favorite part
Jeez.
is that you have your camp, and everybody has all these awesome like places that they stay. But you're
Clive?
the main character. You don't have your own tent. You just sleep on the floor.
Yeah, but why would you? See, somebody said that to on one of my videos. They said, I really wish we could put stuff that we collect, because you have like little owlbear plushies that you find, and because Carla has Clive, her little teddy bear, and they're like, I just want to put like a little thing next to Clive, and and you can't do that, and that would just be really fun. I mean, look, we could turn this.
I love the customizability of games, and you can move boxes around, but you can't have your own place to sleep. What the heck?
Did you play Divinity Original Sin 2?
No, I did not.
Nick,
I only have so much time in a day. I can only play so many games.
I'm getting. I mean, I already like. I play very little, and I know it's going to take me forever to get through Baldur's Gate, but just because like I'm in the middle of a deadline, which I already missed because of like stuff that's going on with like apartment stuff and things like that. It's okay. I spoke to Andrew Pendelhaven yesterday because it's for the second Mindle book, and he said, so like, where's the manuscript? And I went, well, it's 70% done. And I said, I was ill for a while and this happened, etc. And he said, okay, well, how long is it? And I went, oh, it's going to be 400 pages. And he said, excuse me? And I said, yeah, you're just 400 pages. And he went, oh no, like you got to cut it down. And I went, I'm already cutting it down. I don't know what to do. So, it's
so just give him the first half and to be like, this is part one.
He said that. He said, why don't we, is there a logical place where we could cut it so we could do part 1 and 2? And I went, not in this specific instance, because as we're going to talk about with Celtic mythology, this is where certain Celtic mythological
Let's just start
stories.
Right now. We'll just start the timer.
Yeah, there you go.
We're on it.
So this is where Celtic mythological cycles happen, and you can't just cut it in the middle of a cycle because there's no logical apex for the story. So you have to have a climax for the story, and you can't cut it at the climax because then people are going to feel, oh, what? No, like you can't. Yeah, you can't leave them with at the top. You have to leave them with a resolution. That's the whole point of the one of those gnats.
I know. I was just doing that too. I was like, I've got a fruit fly that's bugging me.
I don't know where they're coming from. It's because it's October 2nd and it's still 27 degrees outside, which is, what is it, Fahrenheit? 75 degrees or something like that.
Math.
Yeah,
It's math.
Math.
It's math outside.
It's Canadian.
Okay, so here's a question for you, because here's something that a lot of people have mentioned to me and throughout so much focus, at least here in the States, so much focus is on Greek mythology and Roman mythology and even Norse mythology. Why is it that Celtic mythology kind of like it's there, but unless you're really devoted to it, it kind of slips through the holes?
Two main problems. Okay, number one, this umbrella term Celtic. There is no one Celtic people. Okay, there's no one Celtic people. There's no one Celtic tribe. There's continental Celts and then there's insular Celts, and they all have different mythology. All of them. Yes, there are certain things that are linked. There are certain things that came from continental to insular, etc. But they all have different mythology. So this umbrella term Celtic is kind of silly because, Gaulish mythology is not Irish mythology. And yes, there is a lot of Scottish mythology that's shared between Irish and Scottish because the Kingdom of Dalriada. It's not Welsh mythology. They're all different. Yes, we can say, that a Gwyn is a Finn and Lear is Lear. There's a lot of crossover, but they're all different. And when you have something that is so broad, like imagine if I said to you, okay, so we're putting all of Greek mythology, all the different stages. And then we're adding in all the classic stuff, like all the classic literature. And then we're adding in Roman mythology, and then Hellenistic, and then all of that stuff. And then you go, well, that's too much. That's Celtic mythology. You just go, oh God, this is so much. Number one. Number two.
That's just number one, folks. Just
That's number one. Number two, Irish. So 2 parts. Irish mythology is probably the giant bulk of it, because there is so much medieval writing that we have about mythology. And so that's part one. Part two is, and I know we're going to get the cries of the comments, but this is what I talked to. I had an interview with Professor Ellen Hutton about this. A lot of things that people think are part of Celtic mythology are not. They were made up in the Middle Ages. So I'll give you an example. There's a huge debate now as to whether Rhiannon, the Welsh goddess, Welsh people sound off in the chat, but whether the Welsh goddess was actually a goddess, because we only have one source. She's in one place in the Mabinogion. We don't know who wrote it, and it was written in the Middle Ages. That's it. We have no idea. In certain parts of the Mabinogion, she is just a noblewoman who becomes greater and greater and greater in power, and she has been attributed to, or possibly like, oh yeah, she's definitely a god, and you just go, there's no previous source for that. We don't know. So there's a lot of people who are like, choice. Okay, yes, you can. If you want to see her as a god, you can. If you want to see her as just a very like a magically inclined noblewoman, you can, but we don't know if she's part of the original Welsh pantheon. No idea. We get that because of her, like, so for example, the suffix in her name, the on part of her name is usually attributed to gods, so it's possible that she was, but we don't know. There are some people who link her to a horse goddess, but the only horse goddess we know of is Epona, and Epona is a Gaulish god. She's a continental god. Or she's a Zelda god, if you know Epona from Zelda. But no idea. Another addendum to number 2, part 3. I'll just link this in. Many things that people think, like I said previously, that people think are part of Celtic mythology are not. And so here's the addendum. The Green Man. What do you know about the Green Man, Nick?
Not a whole hell of a lot.
All right. Well, what do you think you know about him?
Some sort of ties to druidry. That's really a whole
wrong, sir.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying it's right, like, but that's what I
know.
in the back of my brain, it's like, okay, he's like some sort of druidic like being, probably maybe even a fae type of thing, but that's about it. Not a whole hell of a lot.
So many people have been tricked by Victorians. This is another issue, is that Victorians, especially, there's a lady by the name of Margaret Murray who wrote a lot about this. And they did not know their feet from their head, and they said that certain things, so for example, they looked at the motifs of the Green Man, which were all over England, and they thought, oh, for sure, this must be a pagan god, an ancient pagan god. There is not one nature deity that resembles the Green Man in all of Celtic mythology. And people have said, so unfortunately, when like the new wave Celtic stuff happened, he was like welcomed into the pantheon, but people are going, we don't know, is it a spirit, is it a Jack in the Green, is it what? It is a motif that was brought into England via India.
Oh, really?
That's it. Yeah, that's it. And Margaret Murray and other writers of the time said, oh, well, because it's not Christian, it must be pagan. And so they're pagan meaning just pre-Christian. And they decided to write that down and say that, oh, this definitely must be, he's a nature spirit, he's a god spirit. But unfortunately, in Victorian times, there were a lot of scholars. We have to thank the Victorians because they actually did write stuff down. But we curse them because that's the problem, is that a lot of so for example, every single year, I have to hear, every single year, when we come around to Easter, oh, it's because of the goddess Jostra, and Jostra had like 2 rabbits, and she was the antecedent of Freya, yeah, exactly, and so she was the one who like brought eggs, etc. And I'm going, mother effers, the only source we have for the name Easter, only one we have is Bede. He mentions it one time, saying that the Anglo-Saxons worshipped certain something of Jostra Monath, which is Easter month. That's what we got. That's the whole thing. Everything else was made up in the 90s by one home and garden magazine back when the New Age movement was happening. And it was, I think it was 1994. And since then,
It was a good year.
every single, I've had to hear people that, oh, pagan Anglo-Saxons made hot cross buns. Where'd you get that? Where'd you get that? And every publication from here to Australia will come up with a new pagan look, listen, new traditions happen all the time. If you want to make a new tradition for yourself, that's great. Like that's how holidays continue, is that new traditions pop up all the time. As well, like for example, a lot of people who are religious and they do Celtic Reconstructionism, they know that we know absolutely nothing about how any of these gods were worshipped, but we know from certain stories that we can take those pieces and then we can sort of try to reconstruct how we know very little about how Druids worship things. We know that there were ceremonies, we know that there was mistletoe, but other than that, there isn't much that we know. And so you can reconstruct and then make your own traditions, and that's great, but don't call those new traditions. Don't say that, oh, things like, oh, the Anglo-Saxons made hot cross buns. There's literally no proof of that anywhere. There's so for example, when we talk about, I mean, obviously this is about Celtic mythology. When we talk about Viking mythology,
I'm going to take a picture from this and be like this. Michelle Franklin says the Anglo-Saxons say made hot cross buns.
Well, I had to send Professor Ronald Hutton an email about this, because I just went, how do I answer this question without offending a whole bunch of people? And he just went, here's the source. This is all we have. So you can, so anything else about the rabbits, about
you made a TikTok post about that, didn't you? Did you make a post about that? Like
we talked about, so there's like Påskahäxan, which is Easter witches. And that's a tradition that goes on in Scandinavia, mostly Sweden, and certain parts of Finland, which is weird because they're not Scandinavian. But Påskahäxan are Easter witches who come around then. You go, well, where did this story come from? Because they don't have an Easter bunny. And so we talked a little bit about that, yeah. But I did make a little bit of post, but we don't have, when we talked about the name of Easter, that's it. So if you can try to attribute it to a goddess of dawn, but we don't have evidence of that. We theorize that because of the AO prefix that she was a goddess of dawn, but that's a guess.
No.
And so it's the same thing.
I'm assuming you read other people's books and stuff like that. Yeah.
No, I don't read other people's books. They're crap. What do you mean? So what do you mean? Do you mean nonfiction or fiction?
I mean like urban fantasy, stuff like that.
Oh, we let that go. Like it's fantasy. You could do whatever you want.
So
I'm not going to sit here.
How do you feel when you see like an urban fantasy where they like, okay, they re-envision what these gods were like, and that's what it was like? Do you look at it and go, especially those, there are a lot of authors that go, I try and take as much from history as I can and put it in there, and then you're like, but wait a second, that doesn't make sense. What is your
fantasy in general? I just let it go because it's fantasy. So for example, in the second Mindel book, we have Aegon, who's one of our werewolves of Ossory. We also when we talk about Celtic mythology as well, there's a lot that's folklore versus mythology. Folklore is stuff that's in the locality, right? So the werewolves of Ossory, even though they are mythological figures, a lot of their stuff later on comes from folklore. And so so for example,
and they don't celebrate Hanukkah either, people.
That they can though, and they're good at it, but the religious aspect.
I was trying to reference your book.
Yes, the religious aspect is not there, but they do, and they're very good at it. Just in case people can't see, there you go. So in the second Mindel book, there's a lot of folklore in there. So there's a lot of like fairies and things like that. But the werewolves of Ossory meet Wolver. Wolver is a Shetland werewolf story. And so a lot of people you see on the internet everywhere, oh, Wolver is an ancient spirit of Shetland. He's a this, he's a that. And he ended up being made up by a lady named Jessie, I think her name is Jessie Saxby. And she was an author, and she made him up based on probably, we don't know, but probably a misconstruction of the word Wolversol, which just meant fairy fort. And so she used this and decided to make a mythology out of it. And she claimed that Wolver was a very old spirit in Shetland. So I had a choice. I went, do I put this in here? I mean, it's a very funny interaction between an actual werewolf and then a man who's just very hairy, and it's a funny sort of interaction that they have. So do I do this? Because I don't want people to think that this is a real thing. But now he's become part of Shetland folklore because somebody made him up, and now he is there. But he's not an ancient spirit. It's kind of the same thing with Krampus, where Krampus, a lot of people have said, yeah, so everybody knows Krampus, right? We love Krampus. And so there's some people like, oh, ancient Christmas demon. He was pagan and they worshipped him in the Alpine region. Krampus, just like Father Christmas, was medieval construction. And it was something that people made up in the locality. And he was a folklore character. And now he's just taken on a life of his own, but he was never a part of mythology. They never worshipped him or anything like that. So, there's that difference. When you're talking about fantasy, anything goes, whatever, it's fantasy. But don't come over here and say, oh, yes, I based it on history, because let me tell you, like, we're going to go, but you're going to tell me that, Gerald of Wales, who went around, he's very famous for talking about Ireland in 1300s. And Gerald of Wales, he's like, oh, yes, I'm a historian. And then he goes over to Ireland and he says, oh, yes, so this place is very cold. And I met 2 werewolves on my way to Ossory. And one of them was very sick. And you're just going, did he smoke the ergot today? What is my man on that he decided to say, oh yes, this really happened. And so I mentioned Bede, and we had a discussion about Bede, because he's considered to be like a great historian, and yet he puts miracles in his work. You just go, okay, so what? I mean, yeah, you can compare certain things that he's written to the Anglo-Saxon Chronicle, but other than that, I don't know.
Okay.
So if you want to say, so there are lots of things that people think are Celtic mythology that are absolutely not. So the other point that I'd made before was Irish mythology. There's so much of it. You have there's the Labor Gabala Nahéireann, which is like their creation cycle. Then there's the Finian cycle, so the hero cycle. Then there's the king cycle. There's so much that I think people just get overwhelmed.
Yeah.
A lot of people know things like Colin, and they know Finn McCool. They know the heroes, right? Or they know like Bridget, like very famous goddesses.
Yeah.
And then there's the saint cycle. There's too much.
Okay, so you mentioned Krampus. I'm gonna rewind real quick. You mentioned Krampus, and you mentioned thing. What is your take on Odin being Santa Claus?
So here's the thing. When you're talking, Dr. Jackson Crawford actually has a great video on this, but he doesn't really, I mean, he says, no, there's no connection. He doesn't really explain why. So for example, interestingly enough, so Odin's colors were blue and white. And if you look at certain Russian traditions, Santa's colors are blue and white. So when you're thinking about linking modern day customs to mythology, you look at the break in the periods. Okay, so here's the thing: when people say, "Oh, Odin is really Santa Claus," you go, I could see where that spirit would come from. But in many cultures, in winter times, there are certain spirits and things that come down, and either they give presents, or that they give. So Krampus, his progenitor is named Frau Pertha, and she is a Christmas witch who comes around at Christmas. And if you're good, she leaves you alone. If you're bad, she cuts open your stomach, takes your guts, and fills your stomach with rocks. It's great. Right. I love it.
Yeah.
So some people think that she.
I got a sack of potatoes one year because I was a bad kid. I'm just saying.
That's very Eastern European. Yeah. They give potatoes if you're bad. There's a lot of.
I was I cried as a little kid. I was like, I was such a bad person. I wasn't a bad. We were just poor, and I think they were, whatever. And then we made French fries, and I was very happy because I love potatoes. So.
Well, this is why I always get really upset when you say like, oh, Santa brought you this. I'm like, look, I love Santa Claus. As a kid, I didn't get to have Santa growing up. So now I'm like, yay, Santa. But yes, there is a joy and a magic of Christmas that we always must preserve, because Christmas is lovely. Yeah, exactly. I agreed with Reda. I don't see how that's bad, because potatoes are lovely, especially when you put cheese on them. But
Yeah. American.
or smiley fries.
American
Smiley fries
cheese.
are lovely. Ugh, get out.
Colby. Anything orange, really. Any orange cheese is the best. Maybe the squeezed cheese in a can, but then you just have it raw. You put the tip in your.
Just take a bite out of the potato while you're at it.
Uncooked.
So when it comes to preserve, again, like I said, new traditions, wonderful. 90% of what we celebrate Christmas now was made up by Victorians. It didn't exist.
Or Coca-Cola.
How long ago? Yeah, or Coca-Cola, exactly. Like Santa's red and white colors come from Coca-Cola.
Mhm.
He was not red and white before. If you look at the original, it is Celtic C, because it's the CE in Irish is a hard C, Celtic. So the Boston Celtics are stupid. Sorry.
I mean, they are.
Oh, I have no
Regardless of
claim on the
sports.
sports.
Regardless of sports.
Don't know. I just know there's a team. I know they play basketball. That's all I know. I don't know anything else. So
I thought they played soccer. Sorry.
The break. The break in the mythology here is we have Odin, we have Woden, which possibly came from Odin, but Woden has two eyes, not one, and had different customs as far as we know. There's very little we know that the Anglo-Saxons had from that time. We're not really sure. We know like 5 names of their gods, and like that's it. Very dreadfully little, unfortunately. We don't know if they celebrated Yule. We don't even know what the word Yule means. It is a linguistic conundrum. We don't know what Yule means. Yule is just Yule, and it's been like that forever. There are certain customs, however, that don't have Santa Claus. Like, for example, in Iceland, they don't have Santa Claus. Instead, they have their Christmas witch, and they have I think it's the 12 gnomes that come, or the Christmas boys that come around. So in Sweden, they have Joulupki, who's I think that's the Finnish name for him, which is the Christmas goat, which very possibly was based on Odin's steed. We don't know. So there are a lot of traditions that keep Odin out of it. And when you look at the history of Santa Claus or Saint Nick, there's such a huge period of time where he did not exist.
Right.
That it's okay. So again, it's okay that Santa Claus was fabricated by Victorians. No. So if you want to say things like, let's say, like Blitzer and Prancer and all that stuff, yes, those words came from things that describe Odin's steed as well. But is there a direct connection? I personally do not think so. Do people make up new customs and look at old things and go, ooh, that's cool, let's bring that in? Absolutely, people do it all the time.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's not like modern Santa doesn't come from like 30 different cultures, really, or whatever.
Sinterklaas is where we get it from, which is the Dutch, and he is very, in their mythology, he is very clearly Saint Nicholas.
Yeah, and Saint Nicholas is like a Catholic.
That's right.
Person.
Saint Nick. That's right. And his feast day was originally December 6th. Had nothing to do with December 25th at all. Christmas wasn't even December 25th until hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years later, because Jesus, if we're going to talk about Christian mythology, he very possibly was, if he did exist, was born when the shepherds were out, which is probably in September. Or when the even star was high in the sky, which is probably in June.
Yeah, which is none of it was in December.
And even then,
which makes my birthday so much more special.
Calendar wise, our good buddy Dennis the Small, he was the one who made the modern calendar, and he skipped a few years.
Oh.
So that's why.
I know we have months that aren't supposed to be there, but
well, we had more months, right? We used to have more months. We used to have like December and all that stuff, but we used to have like a week of Pax and that kind of thing. But Dennis the Small decided, in his wisdom, when he was asked to remake the calendar by the church, he decided to just skip a few years, and so he kind of started on, I think, like 3-4 AD. So we're
Oh.
missing like a few years in the middle there, which is why there's no year zero. Yeah.
There you go. See, guys, you learn something new every day, especially here, and especially. Notice I didn't make any factual statements because I didn't want to get yelled at.
What factual statement would you have made about
I
Krampus
don't
and
know.
all?
I don't think there's anything. I don't think there was any. I was just trying to be funny. See, already you shoot me down. I was trying to be funny and I get shot down. There it is.
A lot of the customs that we have for holidays, many of them were made up in like Middle Ages, Victorian times. And again, there's nothing wrong with that. You know, there are I could go into like, you know, with my background where I grew up with Jewish holidays. There are entire Jewish holidays that did not exist until 1400, like Purim. And you just go, this story is kind of out of place and it doesn't really make any sense. And then when you look at how it's written, you go, this was written, wasn't it? This was made up. And they just go, yep.
What do you think is the most ridiculous out of all the things that you've read? What is the most ridiculous? Like, this makes absolutely no sense.
What for what? For Jewish holidays or holidays in
Just
general?
holidays in general. And like where they're like, oh, this is, you know, it comes from this. And it's like, no, it doesn't.
Very possibly. Wow. All right, I'm just. I mean, there's a lot of these, but
Hopefully, you're not
I'll
going to
just
say "talk like a pirate" day or something like that.
No, I mean, I like a lot of the little festivals, like the cheese wheeling holiday. But the things that I think, one of the things that I think is very funny. So, for example, when we like latkes on Hanukkah, I think is very funny because there were no potatoes in Europe. There were no potatoes in the Middle East in Hellenistic times. They didn't even know what a potato was. And so, like, we do it. It's a tradition, right? Because it came from
I
very
never even
specifically.
thought about that.
There are no
Like I'm not Jewish. I know one person, and they're
yeah, we count you in for the mishpacha. That's fine.
and I know one person, and their whole family is Jewish, but she says she is Jewish. Ish. is her joke. And so, you know, I don't know a whole heck of a lot, but it's like, now that you mentioned that, I'm like, oh yeah, latkes are wow.
Yep, indeed. And when you think about Hanukkah, you know, the first thing that you think about is latkes. You go, yay, latkes, potatoes, fried potatoes. And you just go, wait a minute, where did this custom come from? If potatoes didn't even exist, especially in Eastern Europe, until at least the 1600s. And the answer is they originally came from Italy and they were originally made of cheese.
Oh, really?
Yes, everything comes back to cheese.
Orange cheese. Because orange cheese is the best cheese.
Cheese and flour, yeah. And in Italy, they still make like a latkes in the original way. They don't make them with potatoes because that's not how they were made. So that, you know, there's a lot of that stuff where where people say, oh yes, this tradition came from so and so. And I just go, no, it's impossible because that didn't exist. It's kind of like, you know, watching Braveheart, and then you go, why are they wearing kilts? What's happening? What's happening? This doesn't make sense.
Because weren't some of them running around naked instead of wearing kilts? Weren't they like literally like buck naked?
No, this is like the first like uprising, wasn't it? There was a 1303.
I'm thinking
1311.
I was thinking before that.
No, the story takes place, I believe, like the first part of the uprising was 1303 or 1307. Oh God, my years are getting bad. But you look at this, you go, why are they in kilts? Kilts weren't invented until, you know, the original. We know from even like the Irish word trowsar, we know that old Celts, old Irish insular Celts, they wore pants. We know that. We have the evidence. Why are they
Were they pants or were they trousers?
Technically trousers. Yeah.
Yes, I get one.
British, if you're talking about like British pants, yeah, no, they were trousers.
I get a point.
Yeah, they were trousers, had mustaches, and so when
Nick,
obviously
44
That's
points to Michelle Franklin.
but that's a completely different time period. We're in so for example, if you look at like Highlander, right? Highlander, they're wearing like the full brechen and everything. That's fine. That's correct for the period.
You're talking about
they
the
went
movie,
through
right?
Oh, Outlander. Sorry, I meant Outlander, not Highlander.
Oh.
No, because there could be only one. But no, for Outlander, they are doing period appropriate and area appropriate costumes. You just go, why are people like 400 years earlier wearing those outfits? It just makes no sense. There's a lot of stuff in Braveheart where you just go, okay. But again, as I say, fantasy. So you accept it because it's or they're wearing woad and you just go, oh God, it's so embarrassing.
Yeah, but I bet if they remade it now, they would know better. Maybe.
Just don't let Americans touch it.
Maybe.
Don't let American fundamentalists touch Scottish nationalism. Until they can understand Scots, don't let them do that.
Yeah, I still like going back to the little girl on TikTok that talks about Scots. That she's
Lenny Penny, yeah, she's wonderful.
She's awesome. Well, just I could probably what?
What was the last subject? Oh, it's potluck.
Potluck. Okay. We can talk about whatever we want. Whatever we want. Not that we haven't already been doing that.
What burning question do you have, Nick? And then everybody in the chat can write whatever question they want.
Oh gosh, yeah. Whatever, in any topic whatsoever, you guys in chat can bring it up. I want to know what Fuji-san's list is.
Okay, so do you want him to read it, or do you want me to read it too?
Whatever.
Okay, so all right, so we got this is
first Fuji-san, can you tell us what a waifu is? Waifu is, because some people don't know.
Okay, look, we got husbands and we got husbandos and we got waifus, okay? And so waifus are for life. You cannot let them go. You gotta make love to them. Gotta tell them they're pretty. You gotta ask them how their day is, okay? There's a whole science to waifu.
Okay.
You gotta admire them, especially when they're cute. Okay?
Okay.
So here we go.
So his first waifu is Ryza. Anybody from Atelier Ryza? Anybody know Ryza?
Princess Dick Dies. She's the best. God, me love her.
It's from Atelier Ryza. It's from a game series.
Okay.
Number 2, Your Forager. Does anybody watch Spy Family?
I haven't.
No. Oh my God. All right. Number 3. You have to know number 3 is Casca from Berserk.
I'm willing to bet I'm not going to know any of these. I'm not going to know any of these. I'm going to be
What?
so ashamed.
Wait. But hold the phone and hit the backup gear. Have you never seen or read Berserk?
No, I have not. Spy X Family. Lyric Loss is Spy X Family! Exclamation.
It's Spy Family. Yeah. So one of his waifus is Your Forager. That's the woman. She's an assassin who has to pretend to be.
Are these
a mother.
all like manga, anime?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Well, what did it? They have to be. That's where the waifus are born.
That's why I asked. I said explain what it is for those of us that don't know. That's what I said. I said explain what that means for those of us who don't know.
Waifu is kind of like it's a slang term for like your well, you know how we say best girl and best boy. Okay. Waifu and husbando. That's what they are.
Okay.
So for example, like characters like Hinata from
I can count my anime on one hand.
Okay, go for it. Let's see. Okay. Wrong. Cowboy Bebop. You better be.
Vampire Hunter D.
Oh, very good.
Ninja Scroll.
Very good.
The Ninja Scroll series, there's 2 of them, but the one that's based on Jubei Kibagami from the movie. That
very good.
Series, I love the audio from that. Akira.
Very good.
I Akira was okay. There was a Princess Mononoke. I think it was called.
Wait, have you not seen any of the other Ghibli films?
No, that's the 5. I think there's
Nick.
I have seen Cowboy Bebop. I wasn't a fan.
Oh, get the wife in the room. I blame her. This is not.
Don't blame her.
She married you like this.
She probably knows less than I do.
I blame you then for
blame me. Don't blame her. Although she worked in a comic shop that also had manga, so maybe she can blame her.
No, she knows some things. Yeah, come on. It's funny. Like I love whenever I see the word Ghibli, you always get the people go, "It's not Ghibli, it's Ghibli," and I'm like, listen, Miyazaki-san himself says Ghibli, and we talked about why that is because it comes from an Arabic word. It comes specifically from Lebanese Arabic, which is the J, not the G. And every time people go, and I go, well, I guess you're really disrespecting Miyazaki-san. And all of a sudden the comments come and I'm like, thank you for boosting up my algorithm. This is great for my views. I love this.
I also like the second Vampire Hunter D movie too. That counts.
Like that's good. We got into all the food groups. Okay, now you need Ghost in the Shell.
Oh yeah, I think I have seen Ghost in the Shell. I think I've seen that one as well.
Yeah, you need some, and not the live action one.
No.
Okay. Good.
Anime, because it's not live action is live action. It's not anime.
I have to say though, like the new One Piece live action is great. It was really good. Even if you don't like, because one of my issues with a lot of the old schools like seinen shows is, you watch like 10 minutes of content and then it's filler, and then tune in next week to see whether or not they beat each other up, and then you start over again and they go come on, I can't with this filler, just get out of here. But
yeah, when you put manga and anime in the subject thing for like things to talk about, I was like, I've literally got 5 things I can talk about beyond that, like my knowledge.
No Cowboy Bebop? No Kiki's Delivery Service?
I wasn't a big fan of Cowboy. Like all of my friends were like, "Oh, Cowboy Bebop," and I was like, "Eh." It's no Ninja Scroll. It's no Vampire Hunter D.
Oh, them's fighting words. You've seen Blood the Last Vampire?
I believe so.
Okay, that counts.
It sounds familiar, at least. I don't remember.
It's the girl with the braid who has the big sword, and she, like Nausicaa. Oh, so I'll tell you a funny story. So, I run
Lyric knows the stuff. Oh, just Lyric.
Good.
Time
Lyric.
To take my place, Lyric.
Good. Yes, this is correct. This is the stuff. So, I do a literary event called Live and Let Live. That's just a terrible French English pun. And we invite authors to come to a pub, and we just have a great time. We play Pictionary, we talk about their books, and we have a fun pub quiz at the end. Sylvain Nouvel, who's a wonderful sci-fi writer, you should have him on here. He's great. He has wonderful stories. And he co-runs this with me, and this was kind of his brainchild, but he runs the quiz because he likes being the quiz master. He doesn't like being the player.
Okay.
And he always puts me together with somebody, and he always tries to make me lose because he wants everybody else to get prizes. So one of the questions, Lyric, listen, one of the questions, what was the first Studio Ghibli movie? 10 seconds. What was the first Studio Ghibli?
I have to give a little
movie?
bit more time because stream delay, because by the time you want to answer it,
so
they'll not even see it.
I know the right answer, and I did know the right answer. Somebody buzzed in and gave the wrong answer. See?
Well,
1,
we'll
2,
give Lyric a chance here
3.
to respond. Buzz out.
Buzz
out. Meh.
And the correct answer, so the answer that the person gave was Nausicaa. And that's not correct, because everybody thinks that's a Ghibli film. That's not a Ghibli film.
I don't even know what Ghibli is. Besides that turkey, the thing the turkeys have.
That's a giblet.
Oh yeah.
And that's not that's not that part of the body.
No, it's not.
So lyric says Totoro, but no, that's not correct. So the first Ghibli movie is technically Castle in the Sky. Everybody says it's Nausicaa merely because of time period. The problem is Nausicaa and Lupin III, which were the first movies that Miyazaki-san directed, they were done by Topcraft when he worked for them. Later on, Ghibli got absorbed Topcraft, and the real first Ghibli movie is technically Castle in the Sky. And so I gave that answer, and he went, "No, it's Nausicaa," and I went, and I had on like I had on a Studio Ghibli shirt with Totoro on it, and I went, "Really? Me? You think I don't know the answer to this question?" And he goes, "No, I don't care. You're wrong." And I had to I looked it up just to be sure, and yeah, it's true. It's a Castle in the Sky was technically the first one. So there are a lot of people who will say Totoro, yes. And so Hayao Miyazaki did write, yes, correct lyric. He did write Nausicaa. Nausicaa was originally a manga, and it was I think it was a 4-parter, and that was his first manga, and then he just literally used those storyboards to make Nausicaa Valley of the Wind, and that was the first one that he did based on, I think, his own work, because the first one he directed was Lupin the Third. But if you're asking what's a Ghibli, what's a
Ghibli besides the turkey thing?
There's Ghibli Studio, the things that they've done. They even did the original.
Is it the name of a company?
Yes. So okay. Miyazaki-san, who was one of the founders of Studio Ghibli, took the name from first I think it was a car, and then it was an airplane, okay. And then he just liked it. And this is what he called his studio when they left Topcraft to make their own thing. And so they did, first thing they did was Castle in the Sky, and then they did the double feature of Totoro. You've seen Totoro?
What about, I already told you all the movies I've seen. I've already told you.
Yeah, but you said that, and then I keep saying more, and you go, "Oh yeah, I've seen that one."
What about Howl's Secret Castle? Is that a thing that sounds familiar?
Howl's Moving Castle, absolutely. That is the Ghibli film. Based on the novel by Diana Wynne Jones.
So I might have seen that one as well.
Yeah, so Howl's Moving Castle, Kiki's Delivery Service. There are Ghibli films that Miyazaki-san has directed, like those, and then there are ones that he has not directed, like The Cat Returns and other ones. They've also done a couple of commercials. They did the beginning to the original Thundercats series.
Oh, okay.
That was a Studio Ghibli opening, and when you watch it now, you go, "Whew, this was expensive, and this looks strangely Japanese, and the rest of the show looks like crap." It's because they hired them to do it. They were a new studio, and they just did the opening. So there are a lot of things that they do. So there's Cat Returns. I love. There's also Whispers in the Heart. So there are things that they've done, and then people who have worked at the studio for a very long time have branched off and done their own things under their own studio names. So that's like the Ghibli-esque there, like was it like the Witch's Mountain, something like that. So there's a bunch of other films that they've done that are Ghibli-esque, but they're not under the name. So you can call those a Ghibli or Ghibli-esque. And then there are other just regular anime films, like Satoshi Kon, may rest in peace, all of his amazing films like Paprika, and Millennium Actress. Oh, Millennium Actress is the best. You don't like No Face? No Face is the best. My friend Brian, for our recent Comic-Con, he's huge. He's very tall. He's like 6'9", and so he dressed up like No Face. And so he had the No Face on, and he had his hand out, and he had a gold coin to kids, and some kids were screaming and running away, and other kids were like, "Yeah!"
Says he's creepy.
Yeah, because in Spirited Away, No Face is.
Oh, Spirited Away! I've seen Spirited Away too.
See, I told you've seen it. It's the Spirited Away. It's No Face who holds out his hand, and he has the coin, and he goes, Yeah, and so some kids are like scream and run away because he'll eat you. He's very scary, and other kids are so excited just to see him. So you're looking up all the films now? I
was like, who's No Face though? I don't remember that, because it was like some of these were years ago, and it's like a one-off. And
I don't have it around here. But there we go. I've got Gigi here. You know Gigi, right? From Kiki's Delivery Service. This is Phil Hartman did the voice in English.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. They actually had quite a few people in that movie that you know. But yeah, this is Gigi from Kiki's Delivery Service. He's the little black cat, the sassy black cat.
What do you think of Ponyo? My kids we enjoyed.
Here is the thing. Ponyo is one of the few that I saw, and I was so excited to see it because it came after like the joys of Spirited Away and Howl's Moving Castle, and then I saw Ponyo, and I was very disappointed. I did not like it, and I can't put my finger on why. To me, it's a strange film, and yeah, it's really weird. It didn't, even though obviously Miyazaki-san did direct it. There was something off about it. It felt it didn't have the same, what they call in Japanese, ma, which are like the pauses, the same kind of story beats that they have in other things. And I don't know. It just didn't feel right to me. Ponyo is one of the few I'm not fond of. Sorry. Spicy take, spicy
It
take.
was Americanized.
Yeah, so I think in general a lot of people were not too fond of Ponyo. Because I'm very excited for The Boy and the Heron, which is coming here December 6th, I think. And I love how Miyazaki sound like he did, like When the Wind Rises, like this is my last film. And he's not doing another one. That 5 years later, he's like, lol, yes I am. I'm doing another one. And so then he's okay, this one's definitely gonna be my last one. And so Boy and the Heron came out and in Japan, and there was no marketing for it whatsoever because he's not the director of marketing. And he was really nervous because he thought, oh, I don't know if people are going to see it. Of course, people saw it. They said it was good. But it's not going to be bad. Is it going to be bad cinema? Never. Is it going to be the best? We'll wait and see. But
around. Sorry. I gotta make a couple pop culture references in here somewhere so I can stay in the conversation.
So you wanted to ask questions, Nick. Ask your questions. What did you want to ask?
I wanted to ask. I don't remember saying that. Did I say I had questions?
Well, so for potluck, you said there's somebody like people you wanted to ask questions. Other people wanted to ask questions.
Yeah, but then the conversation turned into anime and manga.
I know, and I feel bad. So
but that's what this is. What potluck is. This is what it is. It's just whatever. If the chat chats about stuff.
Totoro was his first Miyazaki movie. So here's the thing: Totoro is a children's film, and it released together with Grave of the Fireflies, which is also a Ghibli movie, but it's not a Miyazaki film. And looking at Grave of the Fireflies, you see like the boy and his sister on his back, and you think, oh, this is going to be another heart. This was a double feature, okay? And you think that this is going to be a heartwarming story. And you start watching Grave, you watch Totoro, you're like, oh, so uplifting, yay, the mom's going to be okay, it's going to be great. And then you start watching Grave of the Fireflies, which is all about like the terrible position Japan was in after World War II and how there was famine and disease and it was so bad. And you're watching this story of this boy and his sister, you're going, it gets better, right? It's gonna get better, right? And it just keeps going down. Worse. And by the end, you are staring at a wall going, what the hell did I just watch? oh God, this is the worst thing I've ever seen in my life. Not because it's bad cinema, because it takes your heart and it rips it out, pulls it through your throat and goes, how did you like that? Is it good? So tasty. Oh God, it is the most depressing and awful film. And they played that as a double feature with Totoro, a children's film. And I went, who in their right mind thought this was a good idea to put
Lyric
these
says she
films?
hasn't seen that one.
Oh, okay. Great cinema, very important to watch because I mean it does have a historical aspect to it when it talks about like how Japan, unfortunately, what happened to them after the terrible effects of World War II. But it is never happy, and it doesn't get happier, and you will cry a lot. You cry, lie down, cry again. And if you are not in a good mental state, if you are not in a good headspace, do not watch that film. It is a very important piece of cinema history, but it's like watching Requiem for a Dream, where you watch that once, you go, I can't watch that again, and you just want to throw up at the end, and you just go, what just happened? It's one of those things where you watch it and you know that it's important and that you needed to see it, but you just go, I can never see that again. And when somebody asks you, great film, amazing film, should I watch it? No.
Wow.
Yeah. Same thing with there's a very famous French film here called Irreversible, and very important film about abuse and all that violence.
I know of the movie.
But so realistic. I mean, everything was done digitally, so nobody actually, of course, got hurt.
Right.
But the way they filmed it looked so realistic.
When did they film it? Didn't they film it or like present it backwards? Like the story was backwards?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the story is backwards, and the first 10 minutes, hashtag spoiler, you see the perpetrator of the violence getting his face smashed in with the back end of a fire extinguisher. But that violence looks so real, and it was all digitally done. It wasn't
Yeah.
real. That 10 minutes into the film, you want to throw up in your hand. You're like,
Yeah.
I can't
It's brutal.
continue.
It's brutal.
Yeah, it's very bad. But again, one of those things, very important film to watch.
I think I shut it off after like the first. I think I went to go watch it. I shut it off. I don't know, half hour.
I'm not
in,
surprised.
like, nah,
I'm not surprised. Yeah,
wasn't my thing.
Nope. I was told by people, very good film, very important film, and so I watched it and I went, I am sorry I did, but I understand why people say it's important.
Yeah,
And
because
so,
it brings
you know what's funny?
light to things.
Yeah, a lot of rape and violence that goes on in France, and so my mother and I never got along. She's a very interesting character, but now I understand. As I am 40, I sit here and I go, why can't we watch a nice movie? Why can't we watch a nice film?
Something
My
nice.
mom was always, you know, if there was violence or whatever, if it was fantasy, she was fine with it. Like we watched Willow like 100 times, you know, and it was great, best movie ever. And then when we talk about Celtic mythology, the only person I say who is never allowed to cover Celtic mythology again is George Lucas. Ever. You know why? Because it's not that he didn't present Celtic mythology. He went, oh, I'm going to take a name like Bavmorda that I don't understand because it's in Irish, and I'm going to give it to a queen, an evil queen, and she's going to be like Bive, who is one of the goddesses of war, and I'm just going to call her Morda. Morda's a man's name. Lucas.
I mean, he's made so many weird decisions that.
And I just 2 seconds. I just want to say, George Lucas, especially, you know, when watching Willow when I was a kid, great, amazing. You know, he puts in like a lot of mythology in there, a lot of fairies and things. But he decided, for whatever reason, when Willow is repeating the spell at the end, he's saying a certain thing. You just go, okay, you know, like to a dedan and blah blah blah. And when you're a kid, you don't understand it,
right?
And then when you get older, and you understand what he's saying because you suddenly studied Irish and Irish mythology, and you just go, this motherfucker, he is just making him read from the Liber Gabal and Nahiran. It's not a magic spell. He's literally reading a medieval text.
Yeah. And
I just sat there and I went, Lucas?
But people didn't know. People didn't know. Now you know.
A question. He could have just asked. Anybody who speaks Irish, hey, can you pronounce this for me? Is this a spell or is this a historical text? 5 seconds. 5-second question to an Irish person.
Wait, you didn't know? You didn't know when you were a kid, right? Right?
No, but
you watched the show. You loved the show. You paid for the tickets. There you go. He did his job. It didn't matter.
That's interesting. So when you say movie, you also say show, don't you?
I do.
My friend from Louisiana says show, and people thought, oh, what TV series that you're talking about? And so she goes, no, like a picture show.
Well, because like if
like
you go to a theater, the stuff in in a stage theater, those are a show.
Yeah.
It's a show. It's a showing. Yeah, movie showing. So show. Yeah.
So do you say concert or show?
It's still a show. Yeah. I mean, I'll say concert as well, but I'll refer to it as a show. It was a great show.
Because, you know, I mean, in the metal scene, when you say, oh, I went to the concert, like we just go, it's show, man. You go to the shows. Concert is for classical music. Technically, yeah. If you want to get technical, a concert is for something, yes, that has like a stage with musicians on it. So yes, technically it is a concert, but concert is if you ask like certain people,
yeah, almost for me, I think it's almost any kind of performance.
Yeah,
act is a show. You know, you go to wrestling, you go to watch professional wrestling. It's a show. I go to that. I went to the wrestling show.
Yeah. Okay. No, I love that. I love the linguistic difference. I think it's interesting.
Yeah, and that might just be me personally, and nobody else entirely in the world ever. Just me.
There's a wonderful show, radio show.
Yeah,
called Away with
radio show
called Away with Words, and Away with Words is it's one linguist and one author, Grant Barrett and Martha Barnett, and people phone in from all over the States and Canada sometimes, and it's linguistic things in their families. And they say, oh, I just said this phrase. So for example, one of the ones that they were giving today was there's a lady who called in and said, I just said to my husband, I'd love to make over on you. And he just went, what the heck does that mean? I don't know what that is. You ever heard that phrase?
No.
I never heard that phrase growing up. It's a phrase in certain parts of like Bible Belt area where to make over means to make a fuss over, but they just say, oh, I'd love to make over on you. And you just go, so for anybody who doesn't know that, so they come in with these phrases. So like calling a movie a show.
Yeah.
And it's great way with words. If you really like listening to linguistic differences, yeah, they're all great. Lots of things people call in with that are really fun.
Wow. So other people don't call any performance a show.
Yeah. So listen, English is 4 languages in a trench coat, and none of them are doing their job. So,
yeah. And secretly, they're all raccoons. So
they're all judgment. one's a possum, one's a raccoon.
Right, yeah, and they're 4 raccoons, but one of the raccoons is pretending to be a raccoon, and it's
one
really
of the raccoons
just 2
is
mice.
A cat.
It's really just 2 or 3 mice inside a raccoon suit, pretending to be a raccoon with the other raccoons in the trench coat.
English is, as I always say to people, English really is one of the hardest languages in the world. You can know very little English and be understood. So you could say, I eat chocolate or I eat food, and you will be perfectly understood. You don't have to make some, complex sentences in English to be understood, or even like say something like German or Japanese, where you have to get to the end of the sentence in order to understand the sentence. You don't even have to do that in English. You can just say go, there, do, that kind of thing. But when it comes to any kind of spelling, pronunciation guide, just crumple it up and throw it away.
Did you ever watch the Steve Martin version of I don't know if you're a fan of comedies or anything like that, but it was a Pink Panther, the Pink Panther.
Oh yeah, of course.
I would like to buy a cheeseburger. I laughed so hard at that.
I haven't thought of that in so long. Oh my god. Yeah, it's true. There's just English is really hard. People say, I had this talk on like one of my videos recently. People always ask me what's the hardest language to learn. That depends on you and where you're coming from. I always say, if you are not coming from English is one of the hardest languages to learn, because as we have had no spelling reform, barely any. And even some of the spelling reforms that we have don't make sense. So for example, how do you say the word nuclear?
Nuclear.
Okay, so you still say nuclear, but obviously in the George Bush land of the States, some people don't. Some people say a different way.
And how do they say that? How do they say it?
I'm not saying it, dude.
Is it like nuclear? Nuclear?
Nuclear.
Nuclear?
You just go, there's no extra U in there, bud. Like,
nuclear?
What are you doing?
Nuclear.
Yeah, so when, and people in England have started to say it like that in parts of London. Again, because of the whole, there's a phenomenon called the Australian no phenomenon. So people who are hearing the way that people say, Australians say no for the first time, they go, what the hell is this NAUR word that they keep saying? No. And it never used to be that bad. And it's just, it's a with the young people, their pronunciation has tended more toward that rhotic, that R, whereas older people don't. And it's just how it's, Redneck, we actually talked
caramel
about that.
Versus caramel,
caramel versus, it has to do, it's a shortening of caramelization. People say caramelization, and then they'll say, it hurts.
It bugs me. Caramel versus caramel. And here's the thing, there's a place that my wife went to. It's a thing called
Mount Carmel.
Mount Carmel. And that's actually how that place is pronounced.
That's correct.
But now so many other people say, like, they'll say caramel for caramel. And I'm like, no, it's not caramel, it's caramel.
We talked about this, and Fuji-san asked.
What did he say?
So caramel wrong, right?
And I said, yep. That's right. He did. Oh, I just did one on this. We just did one on espresso. The problem with espresso is, so people are saying espresso and it is wrong, but the word espresso comes from the first comes from Italian, but then the Italian comes from the Latin exprimo. And you just go, well, if it comes from the Latin, are they wrong for saying espresso? Technically, yes, but it's not wrong.
I mean, the process of expressing the thing from the bean, I guess. Maybe.
So, for example, there's the whole, ask X thing.
Oh, God.
That, however, hold the phone.
Yep.
Hold the phone.
No, go ahead.
Hold the phone.
You'd like to ask me a question?
So, in Old English, guess what it is?
Is it axe? And then we change it to ask. So technically, axe is correct.
It's just a linguistic difference. That's all.
So we should have spelled it properly.
Yeah. One way.
I was waiting for you to be like, no, it's spelled.
No. The English needs well. So think of when no matter how many times people.
Thank you, Larry.
When people say things to me like, oh, should we have a spelling reform? Like, oh, that's going to be tough. I think we should in certain respects, because we need certain things, like pronunciations need to be a little bit better reflected, I would say. But if we're going to reform, French should reform first, because however badly you think our pronunciation is, in French, there are like 5 letters in a word that are never pronounced.
Well, I think it's crazy because in the States, there are so many inflections based on just where you're at.
Yeah, of course.
Which,
where you're at.
When you look at
where you are.
When you look at like Ireland, you talked about Ireland and all the different, or Scotland.
Yeah, the accent changes there every 4 miles. Yeah.
Every 4 miles. And here it's like, okay, well, this region of like 5 states, each state is the size of England, is the shift in language. It's like, it's not that bad, except for, the size scope. So, yes. Yeah. Anyhow, I don't know where I was going with that. I was just
ending by the way, linguistically, ending a sentence with a preposition is perfectly fine. If you want to talk about, there are certain things. There are certain
English
things
is not my first language. It's not my first text, your literature.
Because it depends. So, for example, it depends on whom you are with. Perfectly fine sentence. Whom. There you have to use whom. Depends on whom you're with.
Not
period.
Who you are with.
Yes, but I mean, again, that's something else. There's
fishing for a Stargate enthusiast.
I know, but I am a Stargate enthusiast. But for certain linguistic things, I will not bend. One of them is the Oxford comma, because certain sentences will not make sense without it. A lot of as well as like Chicago style, which is American style writing, can go suck a fuck. There are a lot of things that just will not, sentence structure wise, will not make sense if you use the Hemingway minimalist style of writing. And it becomes a big problem, because especially when you're publishing and you are writing sentences correctly with semicolons and em dashes and all that kind of thing, and then you have people going, no, I'm cutting this and I'm putting a period, cutting this, putting a period. I'm going, that's a clause. You can't do that.
I love.
So,
have you seen some of the memes on the Oxford comma?
Oh yeah, the Stalin one is, I think, that's such a classic. Such a
Stalin
classic.
and JFK as strippers. There was an eggs one too, like.
There's a very famous grammar book called Eats, Shoots, and Leaves, and it has a panda on the cover, obviously, because it eats, shoots, and leaves. But it's what we call a garden sentence. So a garden sentence has like various different meanings depending on context. But when you take the punctuation out, you go, what does this mean? It doesn't matter. So if the panda eats, shoots, and leaves, if a gentleman walks into a bar, he eats, shoots, and leaves. Right?
Yeah.
So there are lots of differences. So you have to be very careful in terms of context. People say to me all the time, "Oh yeah, Japanese is the hardest language." I go, to read, yeah, like let's not get into kanji, hiragana, katakana, and then romanji, all that stuff. Yes, I will agree that probably to read Japanese is very difficult, but
unless you're Japanese,
you oh, even they forget kanji all the time.
Oh.
Because especially now, it's a big problem actually, because now technology is so prevalent that they'll put in the to get the kanji radical. And when they get the kanji radical, they'll say, okay, this is what it is. And then it will pop up with the kanji for them. So they don't have to remember it. And so a lot of working people are forgetting the kanji that they've learned in school.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
All right. So two things before we move on, because I want to talk about your upcoming stuff and stuff you've been working on, because we get time for that. But another one, because you've got a new layout, we're not going to get an aliens clip, right? We're not going to get a thing where you're like, aliens.
Here, there. Meme it. Go.
For those that don't know, if you saw the podcast, you've seen any clips when anything from that thing, just the angle that Michelle was at, it looked like she was constantly like talking with the hand.
Aliens.
It was always like that, but it was always like the aliens thing, and that was the very first thing. As soon as it got posted, and there were any kind of clips, that was the first thing Michelle saw. I was like, oh, it looked like that meme from
That's because it was in the thumbnail, and
yeah,
I said,
the thumbnail.
it looks like I'm saying aliens.
People that are watching and hanging out, guys, you obviously know she's been doing posts about like linguistics, language, stuff like that. You can find all of that on Instagram, TikTok, stuff like that. What are your handles? Tell us your social handles.
Author Michelle Franklin everywhere except the Twitter. I won't call it X because I don't like Elon. But the Twitter is just Miss Denison. But if you put in Michelle Franklin, it'll pop up anyway. But author Michelle Franklin everywhere, even on Tumblr. I'm still there. And even on Blue Sky, I'm also there. Author Michelle Franklin. You'll find me there.
Author Michelle Franklin. There you go.
That's the one.
little
Because there is another Michelle Franklin.
There's an actress. If you just put in Michelle Franklin on a thing, you'll get like IMDb references, and I'm like, oh, you were in movies.
No, that's not me. I wish I was making that movie bank.
Oh, you're
but
a
I'm
lawyer.
Not.
You're a lawyer now. Wait a second. Scroll.
There is another author, Michelle Franklin. She writes like Jesuit stuff. They're like, ooh, that's not me.
My 4 is archaic now. Oh, I could count to 10, but they changed one of the numbers. I think 4 from what I learned in 2nd grade.
Yes, that's right. So in Japanese, you talk about in Japanese. Yes. So in Japanese, yon and shi, depending on what the word that changes. So it's same thing with 7.
I skipped all kinds of text. So kiddo is learning Japanese and loves it, but wants to get some tattoos of some conjugations to remember. Redneck Jedi says, I can count to 5 in Japanese because I took judo for a couple of years.
Ichi ni sango, and that's it. But wait, they didn't make you count to 10.
There you go. What do you have coming up? What you got? Another book?
So the second, out? so this is the first Mindle book. If you haven't read it, Misadventures of Mindle Pluttisteer. So the second one is going to be coming out from Pendelhaven Press, hopefully soon. If you like Pratchett style, quirky, funny, wholesome fantasy, I recommend that one. I just came out with Vampires Don't Observe Shabbos, which is a very funny book about vampires actually observing Shabbos, going to visit Bubby Yenta and Zayd Tatala at their home for Shabbos. It's very funny because you have a very famous like movie vampires that show up. So we have that. I also have I may or may not be going to GaryCon, probably not. Sorry, a Gamehole Con. GaryCon, I will probably be going to.
You go to Gamehole Con if you can find a place to stay. Is that usually
I'll just like stay and like live in the cheese wheel. That's
just
fine.
rent an RV.
Yeah, you know what? I probably should. It'd be cheaper. I still doing the language videos. The biggest thing I think that we're doing next is, I'm part of Spaceboat, which is made by Recombobulator Games. And there is a Kickstarter that's coming October 10th. So just look up Spaceboat and you get to play as Domino, who is sitting over there. And you get to play as a cat in a spacesuit. And if you follow Recombobulator Games and sign up for our Kickstarter, which is going to start October 10th. Along with the Steam Next Fest. So if you're gonna play Steam Next Fest stuff, the demo for Spaceboat is already out on Steam, Xbox, and PlayStation, and on itch.io. So if you want to play a free game, enjoy yourself. I did the theme song and I do the writing for that game. So if you're into Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy and very funny sci-fi, this is definitely the one for you. We've been working on it for about 1.5 years now, and it's fun. I hope you like it. But do go to, so that's spaceboat.ca is the website. Go to the Kickstarter and sign up for Notify Me. But you can already play the demo. So if you have a PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Xbox Series X, or if you're on Steam, you can. It even works on Steam Deck. So yep. So if you're one of those fancy schmancy people who have a Steam Deck,
I'm not
it's a great machine. Very heavy, very heavy. I don't have one. I have the developer kit, dev kit. So but in general, it's quite heavy, I find. And that's it. So Mindle 2 hopefully will be out in the spring. I'm finishing it up now, and if you haven't read The Misadventures of Mindle Plotisteer by Pendle, I'm going to be doing some other stuff for Pendlehaven Press. They have a bunch of other things that they're coming out with as well, including, I think, maybe Ed Greenwood, I think, is doing some more adventures for them.
Yeah.
And there's a
Cleath series just came out officially.
Yep. There's a new small guide for the Athletes series, and so which is all about Viking Dublin, if you're interested in that. We did try to make it historically accurate in terms of Viking times, but we throw in fairies and monsters and
right
and all that stuff. So, but it's still very fantasy oriented, but there is that historiographic sort of aspect to it. So if you like that kind of thing, enjoy.
And we'll have Andrew Valkoskis is the kind of the head bigwig over at Pendlehaven and Fate of the Norns, and he'll be joining us December 18th. So we'll talk more about that December 18th as well with him.
You should have me on to play a game.
To play a game?
To play him. But yes, we could play a game too.
Play a game. Play a game. Play him. Yeah, I mean, you can always come and chat and torture him in chat. You know, with the thing, be like, what? Why does this? You can just put in the chat. Why does this not make sense with this? What was your decision? And I'll just read it and pretend like it's not you and see what he says.
I have to make an account for that because he knows my handle on Twitch. Leave
it as that. I'm like, so and so said. I can pretend like I don't know who you are. And but he probably won't buy
one of our Patreon. Oh yes, and you can also find me on Patreon. I have a Patreon. Patreon.com. Yes, patreon.com/new-short-stories, where now you can actually join for free, if I'm not mistaken. So you can use it as a newsletter, but for $1, you can support all the videos that I do and put out. You can also, you get a free story every month. The people who supported my Patreon this month just got a free chapter from the new Mindle book. So they're the first ones who are reading it. So if you are interested in that, we have the $1, the $0 option, which is just all news, and then we have the $1 option, which is videos, which everybody gets to see anyway. The $2 option is the story one, and then we've got other ones for audiobooks and things like that. Nice. But even just pledging anything gets you access to like 700 short stories, tons of stuff on there. There's a little audiobook of Diamond Child, which I did myself. So there's tons of things that you can.
Which pledge gave us top 10 lists from Fuji-san?
That's the $1 option, because he'll sit here and read it out on the videos for you.
Is there a Fuji-san cameo? Can we sign up Fuji-san for
there
cameo?
Is. It's funny. I completely forgot about it. I made a cameo a long time ago because people were joking that they wanted to ask Fuji-san questions, but there is a cameo. I do have cameo, but no one's ever used it.
That's it. I'm doing it. Where is it?
Yes, if you want to use it, knock yourself out. I mean, or you could just do the Patreon thing and write questions. So patreon.com/new-short-stories, all one word. And like I say, $1 gets you access to like 90% of the stuff that's on there.
That's awesome.
So if you want to read things before anybody else, if you want audiobooks that people commission me to do, you can go on there, and all you have to do is pledge to $1 and click the audio tab, and you get everything that's in there.
If you want to hear the history of a word, just send it on TikTok or Instagram or Twitter.
Yeah.
And within a day or two, you'll get something.
Yeah, that's just somebody asked me about pumpkin and dude today, so I did those two. Do you know where dude comes from?
You said it earlier in the show, and I'm already like, well, we know you'd think it would come from like Dude Ranch and like that kind of stuff, but I believe you said it came from like Did you say Germanic? Is that what you said earlier?
No, not dude.
You said we've talked about so many different things. I don't know. I just back to Dude
You'll
Ranch.
Find out tomorrow on my
Find out
TikTok
tomorrow on
and my
TikTok,
Instagrams. The TikTok and the Instagram are kind of the same thing. They're and I also
And
for people
Facebook.
who don't like, yeah, Facebook also. People who don't like those apps, I've now started putting all those things on YouTube. So if you prefer YouTube, I'm also on YouTube again. Author Michelle Franklin, same exact thing.
Yeah,
So
because
it's
they have
all the
Reels
same.
now. They have isn't that what it's called? No, Stories.
Mhm.
Yeah, Reels.
So, I don't know. It's all the
It's
same
all the
shit
same.
now.
It's all the same.
Everybody's trying to copy each other, so it's all the same crap. Doesn't matter.
Yes, it is. French was doodle.
That's right. Yes. So doodle may have, see, somebody paid attention. The word doodle may or may not have come from a slang term for the word dick in French.
That's right. That is what you said. Yeah. And then you'll have to put the two videos like where Dick came from, put them back to back so that they pair up. It's just that ongoing story of all these words. This means this.
We
and
did.
this
We
and
talked
this,
about
and then
tits.
go
We
back
talked
to-
about boobies. We talked about where those words come from. So they're all.
Thank you,
they're all on
Fuji-san,
my...
for enlightening us. Because that's we know that was all him.
You're welcome. Listen, boobies make the world go round, okay? They're important. We need it.
Everybody loves them.
No boobies, no life.
That's right. Nobody cares. Nobody. I don't even know what I was gonna say. I'm like, what do I say? And then I'm like, I don't know.
No.
I don't know. I agree. Fuji sounds right.
Yeah, so tomorrow will be like dude and pumpkin. Somebody asked about pumpkin. So if you have any words that you want to know, I will do a video on them. If I don't know them, I will look them up and I
Word
will give you the
jack-o'-lantern
answer.
needs to be done at some point in
Oh,
October.
I did that one last year.
Did you do that one last year?
Yes, we talked about that because that comes from Ireland in general, where there's two different stories that got smushed together from. It's possible because there was a story about Jack's head, somebody who used to go around, and it's very possible that came from either Dawn of the god Dawn, Donn, of the dead, or that it came from the Dullahan, who may or may not have come from Crom Crua or Crom Dove, who was also one of the gods of the underworld. And he used to come around, they claimed, and it's possible that the Druids once worshipped him at this time of the year. We don't know. That's postulated. But Dullahan, who is there's also a character in Mindle's book, Mr. Dullahan. He walks around the abbey and is always looking for his head and kicking it around because it's a flaming head. So the legend of the Dullahan is that it used to come, if it was your time to go, he would come after you in a chariot, and he was either afraid of gold or there were other things that you could do to get him away from you. But he would come and collect you. So he was kind of like the Reapers. That's why they think he probably came from like Crom Dove or Crom Crua. And that then translated into pumpkin jack, pumpkin heads, that kind of thing. So it all goes back to the Dullahan.
Oh, cool.
Of
Cool. I like that. That's awesome. Halloween is my favorite holiday.
course it is.
So.
Of course it is.
So yeah, it's my favorite. holiday
Everybody
of all
gets
those.
to dress up and listen. It's spooky season, okay? I know it's 27 Celsius outside, but it's still spooky season. So
It is.
I'm trying to celebrate.
I've had so many fond memories of that holiday over every other holiday. It just holds a special place in my heart. So like just giving out candy, to kids here when they come through, it's like I don't care. Like this is great. I love seeing the things. I love the faces. I love the everything. There's everything about it. I love, whether it's commercialized or not. I don't care.
Oh, everybody look! Technically all of Halloween is commercialized because it was made from an Irish holiday called Samhain, and the holiday was never. They used to have turnip heads that they would go around with, right? And if you see the original turnip heads, they are frightening. They're amazing because they made like hyper realistic teeth. It's super creepy. We never got to celebrate Halloween when I was growing up.
Not Sam Hain. Not Sam Hain.
I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear that.
Unless you watch the Ghostbusters, then it's okay. The animated Ghostbusters cartoons, then it's okay. But other than that, it's not okay.
There was, the only time, guilt admission, the only time I've ever written in a book ever from a library was there was a book that I found in my library that was 1960s, and it had facts about Halloween, and it was supposed to be a nonfiction book, and they said that Halloween came from Irish people celebrating the devil, Lord Samhain, and I went, what the heck? Samhain just means summer's end in Irish. Who the hell wrote this? And then I discovered that it was a pamphlet that was made based on like a Christian fundamentalist, like against pagans.
Yeah.
And I went, oh no, this is so I actually like across that I wrote, dear reader, this information is incorrect. And because once a library book is in a collection, it's very difficult to get it out. So I know the librarian, and I brought her the book, and she's like, why'd you write in it? And I said, read it and you'll see. And so I underlined all the things that were like very like just completely not correct information. And she went, oh, this is really bad.
Yeah.
I think we're gonna have to so she ordered a new one just so this way they wouldn't have to to see if they actually changed the information. We'll find out this year, kids, if they actually did.
You need to keep us updated. There's a whole video of that. You'll have to re-rent out the book and take a picture of it, and then just kidding.
I will, honestly, I will. We'll see. We'll see if it gets we'll see if it, but when I was a kid, I wasn't allowed to celebrate Halloween or Christmas. So nowadays, whenever it comes around, I go, yeah, just get the skeleton out, get everything out.
Right. Spooky season, and you can say,
yeah, spooky season is the best. Then my mother would get candy for other kids, and we weren't allowed to eat it because we weren't allowed to go trick or treating. My mother wouldn't let us, but she was afraid that she would be seen as like a miser. They would egg her house. They would egg the house,
and they would have.
She did
toilet paper and eggs, and you'd get the trick, not because you didn't give the treat. You'd get the trick.
It's interesting because a lot of people don't do Devil's Night anymore, because Devil's Night is technically supposed to be the night before Halloween, and I don't think people do that. Do you do that? No.
Sorry, that's a Crow reference. Those who've seen it.
Yes, to feel how awful goodness is.
Yes,
but I mean,
greatest
a lot of
movie
people,
of all
I guess.
Time.
Yes.
Well, maybe except for Ghostbusters, maybe I don't know.
One or two.
One. Two was two. I mean, let's be honest. Ghostbusters 2 was Ghostbusters 1. They just reskinned it. It was the same plot, the same story. It was the same thing. The video game, the I don't know if did you play the Ghostbusters video game? That was like the third movie to me.
It was so good.
It was really good.
It was so good. It was like a 12-hour third movie, and it was amazing.
It was. And
I don't know how that didn't get made into a film. Because I remember them saying so, even in the script for the game. They said that they had branches in Chicago, and they had branches here and there, and that was going to be like the beginning of the Ghostbusters universe, and then nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing. I was so disappointed.
Yeah, nobody could get on board. Nobody could agree on something until the director's son made the new movie, and then now we're gonna see it. And
let's.
No, you didn't like the new movie? The afterlife, aftermath.
70% of it was great, and then it got to about like the 3/4 mark where we got to like where they go back to the house, right? And then they just completely forgot about what's his name?
Egon?
Paul Rudd. They completely forgot about his character. He just disappeared for 30 minutes, and then suddenly they're like, "Oh, hey guy," and he just shows up again, and I went, that this doesn't make any sense. Why didn't you? If he is like the key master in this one, right? If he's like, why?
Well, eventually he becomes. It's right,
but then they just forgot about him, and he shows up at the end, and then they go, oh, you're done. That they did nothing with his character,
because they said they're like, okay, he is the thing. Now that's all you need, and they edited a bunch of stuff out because they had to meet their time frame. But like they said the points that they need, like, okay, he is the thing, and because everybody who's seen the movies. Now, if you haven't seen the other movies, then yeah, it makes no sense. But if
that's my issue, is that if you're somebody coming from not seeing it, because this was supposed to be their like soft reboot, right, of the whole series.
I thought it was supposed to just be a love story to the Ghostbusters franchise, is what I thought it was supposed to be. Like, I thought it was really supposed to be a love story to Harold Ramis, but
I did have a little cry when Egon shows up again. I did, and I just went. But then you go, oh, but he's not here, and they're not going to do another one.
But they are going to do another one. They are. It's done. They're just because of the writer's strike, they couldn't finish it. There's another.
Let's see.
There's another. It's already been filmed. I've seen photos. Sorry, you're talking to a huge ghost here. You're talking. I'm watching. I'm like,
I got the evidence.
I'm like watching. I'm like, okay, there's this downtown New York thing, and I'm like watching the videos, and I got like the photos and the people from the cities in the offices recording that. Never mind. All right, so we should probably do a raid.
Do I know? But there's a lot of people who are waiting for it. It was good. Was it as good as number one? No, it would never be. I don't think so. I want my Rick Moranis back. That's what I want.
Maybe
I know he's busy being
like
a dad.
I like that they hinted at him in that game, in the video game. They hinted at him.
Yes. Yeah. But I liked the game because it was more like, like the animated series, like the real Ghostbusters, where they actually just had a different story.
I liked. Did you do much exploring? A little cameo exploring, and you could see because they had like the tools from the cartoon, and they even had like the trap from the Extreme Ghostbusters cartoon, and they had all these like little hidden things all over. I think it was really well done. Those of you who don't know, I played it last year on stream. Go check it out. I stopped.
Oh, I didn't realize. I played it when it first came out on was it Xbox
So did I,
360?
Yeah,
Oh,
I played
so
it.
good.
I played it originally on PlayStation, and then they did the remastered version. And I didn't know the history. So the original company like went under, and they lost almost everything. They had to get one of the games and then backtrack it to master it and find the individual designers and get all of their pieces to try and piece the game back together so that they could re-release it, because they didn't actually have any of the original coding.
That's what happens when you don't save your stuff and save on cloud, kids.
Right.
Always back it up. Always back it up.
Right. So
who are we rating actually?
We're gonna rate back to Dungeon Scrollers because they did so. For those that don't know, they do a show earlier in the day where they do Writing Along with Aaron Evans, which is where the raid came from. And Aaron Evans does like you can write with her while she's writing books or whatever, and then after like 15 minutes you chat about what you did and what you accomplished and how much you got and kind of what's going on. This show right now, they are doing a tabletop role playing. They're doing, it looks like episode 8 of their Sakai Realms. I don't know what that is.
So as one thing I always joke about is no more
Isekai Realms.
Oh God, you're so not a manga anime.
I'm not. I admit it. It's
Isekai it literally means another world in which either usually the character dies or they step into a portal and they're in another like fantasy universe. And so this was popularized by there are a couple of different manga that popularized it, but it has now become a joke and a trope because there's so many. There's like this isekai or this in another world. Now there's I am a vending machine in another world. That is real.
I'd like to be a vending machine in another world. I'm just full of sweet treats and people give me money.
Well, so essentially he's a cleric that heals people in dungeons. That's what he does. And so everybody loves him, right? Because he's Konbini-chan. Just terrible. I can't. So whenever people suggest manga and anime to me, I do checking out, your manga suggestions. And then I go, oh no, is this an isekai? I'm out. I'm done. I can't anymore.
I have no suggestions for you that you probably haven't already seen. What I've listed is my list. Although I do have I was going to say I've never really read a manga, but I own the Vampire Hunter D manga, and I also own a Labyrinth manga, which takes place after the movie.
I have that one,
which is really good.
I have the other one too that takes place before the film, where you learn about Jareth's backstory.
Ooh, I didn't even know that existed. I'm gonna have to check that out.
It's in hardcover now.
Okay, we'll have to
he was like somebody high in their court. So essentially what we see in Labyrinth is like their like second era. He was like high in the court of people, and then he was slowly mistreated and demoted into being a goblin king.
Oh,
very cool. Yeah, I really liked his whole backstory.
That's cool. I'm a big fan, big Labyrinth fan. So
of course you are.
I posted a picture of like I was gonna do the pirate thing, and I had the crystal balls. I can do
Yeah. I saw.
Yeah, I can do the crystal ball, the contact drilling. I can do that. So I'll have to get a video or something at some point again.
Do it.
Here is a raid. We're gonna raid on out to the one and only Dungeon Scrawlers. I am not sure who the GM is or the DM is, depending on what kind of how you role play. But I do know that Rhiannon Held, author who is member of the podcast, is there. Eric Scott DeB, who is an amazing friend of mine and of the stream, is also in there playing, and a bunch of other people. Generally, it's all authors. I don't know many of the other people, but we'll go over there and check it out. They're doing
You don't
some
want to talk
tabletop
to authors. They're so
role-playing.
boring.
Don't say that. Don't say that. And of course, guys, go and check out the podcast with Michelle Franklin. It was an awesome show. Go check it out. Go and find all the stuff. Follow her on all the social medias, and check out the Mindle books because they are freaking awesome. And of course, all of the monsters books that she has out. They are so great. So, guys, thank you so much for being here tonight. Go ahead and use my raid emotes, use their raid emotes, use whoever raid emotes you have. Go and use the raid emotes. Just make sure you represent. Talk about what we were doing tonight. And have a great night, everyone. Take care, and thank you so much. Again, Michelle, thank you for joining me. Have a good night, everyone, and take care.
Thanks for having. Bye, everybody. See you soon.